Researchers at the University of North Carolina has revealed just how incredibly easy it is for teenagers to procure electronic cigarettes online. Researchers found that just 5 out of 98 attempts by teenagers to purchase e-cigarettes from online retailers were thwarted by an age verification mechanism. Rebecca S. Williams, the study's lead investigator and a researcher at North Carolina's Lindbergh Comprehensive Cancer Center, said in a press release, very few online vendors even gave the appearance of trying to comply with North Carolina's e-cigarette age verification law. The study allowed teenagers to use false birthdays and check various boxes to disguise their identity during purchase attempts. Of the 98 attempts, 18 failed as a result of glitches and web design flaws unrelated to the vendor's age verification. That means 80 orders were successful, giving teens a 93.7% chance of procuring e-cigarettes. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson apologized on Monday to the family of a 12-year-old boy whose city lawyers blamed in part for his own fatal shooting by police responding to a report of an armed person in a park last November. The language used in the city's response to a lawsuit brought by the family of Tamir Rice was very insensitive, and an amended court document will be filed within 20 days that preserves the city's rights, Jackson told a news conference. The court filing asserted as a defense for the city that Rice's injuries, losses, and damages complained of were directly and proximately caused by the failure of plaintiff's descendant to exercise due care to avoid injury. Jackson said he was apologizing to Rice's family and to the city's residents for what he said was a poor choice of words in the city's response filed on Friday to the family's lawsuit. Jackson said, in an attempt to protect all our defenses, we used words and we phrased things in such a way that was very insensitive to the tragedy in general, the family, and the victim in particular. An attorney for the Rice family, Benjamin Crump, on Monday criticized the city's response to the federal lawsuit. Crump said on CNN, "I don't want him just to apologize for the poor word use. I want him to apologize for the death of this 12-year-old child." Rice's shooting came at a time of heightened scrutiny over the use of force by police around the United States, including in Cleveland. Rice was holding a replica handgun that mainly shoots plastic pellets when he was shot by a Cleveland officer within seconds of police responding to a report of a suspected brandishing of a handgun in the city park. Tamir Rice died the next day. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. The nation's last remaining themeless restaurant has closed. This is Doyle Redland reporting. A once vibrant era came to an end today when Pat's Place, the nation's last themeless restaurant, closed its doors in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. During the heyday of themeless restaurants, Pat's Place achieved a certain amount of notoriety for its unique non-themed food items and unadorned atmosphere. But according to owner Patrick Baines, the times have changed.
Lately, we've had only a handful of people coming in to gawk at our posterless walls and mundanely named menu items like hamburgers or pancakes, and then they go someplace like the Rainforest Cafe or Johnny Rockets to actually eat.
Plans are now in the works to convert the Pat's Place location into Cedar Rapids' 7th Patty-O Touchdown Sports Bar and Good Time Internet Grill. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You are hearing correctly. Mark is back.
Welcome back, Mark. I'm here. Cantwell.
Thanks so much, Chris. From ChrisCantwell.com.
No, that's not my website.
I'm sorry, ChristopherCantwell.com. Does somebody have ChrisCantwell.com?
Yeah, somebody else has that website, and unlike Ron Paul, I didn't take him to the WIPO and try to wrestle it away from him. So
his name's probably Chris Cantwell.
He's not even using it. It's just like a dead domain, but it's registered. And
Well, why don't you offer him some money for it?
Why would I do that?
I don't know. So
how many URLs do I need?
So you can redirect it back.
Because I had ChristopherCantwell.com and ChristopherCantwell.net and ChristopherCantwell.org, and I'm like, I'll just let these things expire and let some trolls take them up and make fake websites on me. I don't care.
Well, as long as you don't care, I guess it doesn't really matter that much.
Keep them talking.
So I am back from. I went down to Acapulco for the event called Anarchapulco. Over, I guess it was 3 or 4 days. I don't know how long. I don't remember when my last show was.
You went down to You went down to Acapulco for some unknown period of time. Were you wasted the entire time in Mexico, Mark?
I was not wasted the entire time. There was one evening when I probably drank more than I should, but usually when that happens, I make good by not drinking there for some period of time afterwards. So. Actually, there was an evening, and nothing has happened since, frankly, as far as the drinking goes.
It was like a I'm never drinking again type of night, really?
I can't tell you how many times in my life I felt that way, but this was one of those times.
Oh, yeah. I know that feeling all too well. I try to avoid saying that, because it doesn't usually end up working out that way, but I know the feeling.
I don't know that I take myself too seriously when I say those things, but that's the case. So I had a really great time. I think the event, Anarchapulco, as far as the speakers go, was above average. I felt like the speakers were very impressive, and considering what they pay, what Jeff Berwick, the organizer, paid to get them down, basically, it was incredibly good because I don't think there were any paid speakers. I think it was maybe some travel and hotel costs were taken care of, but that's really pretty much it. And that's very impressive. And it's hard not to like Acapulco in February and March.
Especially coming from New Hampshire, which as I'm leaving the house today, I'm like, oh, it's snowing again.
Well,
again.
It's true. But even Texas was cold. People were visiting from Austin area, and Texas was cold that time of year too. So, and it's beautiful there. Folks that haven't been to Acapulco, it's pretty impressive. So anyway, had a great time. Free Talk Live, it is, among other things, a show about your calls. So we'll take them here. Just a second. AC, calling in from Ohio. But our numbers are, just so you know, 855-450-3733. That's the telephone line, or you can use the Skype line. Our username is lrn.fm. You do have to send a contact request. We will click on it as quickly as we can. Let's go to AC in Ohio. AC, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I got a fun story to share with you, start your night. Apparently, about ISIS, and it turns out that Obama is actually a member of ISIS.
What does that mean?
I have no idea. Apparently, I shared a link to the video on your guys' Facebook page. You guys can look out when we're done.
Okay, so at freetalklive.com on the Facebook page. Okay, so there's a link to a video from you on the Facebook page.
Yeah, it's a short video. Victoria Jackson, who is a former Saturday Night Live comedian, apparently she was on some news program looks like a few weeks ago, and she was basically talking about Obama's Christianity or whatever, which
Is this the lady that from a long time back? She's blonde and kind of does the ditzy thing, and she's kind of big into her Christianity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She goes on the whole the typical Obama is a secret Muslim, and she says he's actually a member of ISIS.
Is this Pamela Geller?
No. What'd you call her name? What was her name?
Victoria Jackson.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So she made the claim that he's an ISISian. All right.
ISISian.
Yeah. And I'm like, how is that possible? Is he like having a mole for breakfast?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Did she have any? Did she have anything to back it up with? Like, when you make a claim like that, you probably should have a fact or two.
She says that he doesn't act very Christian because he supports gay marriage and things like that. And I'm like, well, whatever on that. I care less what that means.
That's the fact? Okay.
Yeah.
Because, ISIS is all about the gay marriage.
And everybody who's listening to me right now who is not for gay marriage is a member of ISIS. Or, that's what it is. Or she is for ISIS. I don't know. And none of this makes any damn sense. Okay, so that's the claim, Victoria Jackson. Got it. If you believe that Obama is a member of ISIS, I'd like to hear what you have to say to back that up at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It sounds like a patently ludicrous claim. I do, however, hear on a relatively regular basis that he's a Muslim, for which I have no problem if he is a Muslim, particularly. It seems like just a trick. People use shorthand. Basically, this is code words for saying he's different, and so I don't have a problem with him being black. Should I care whether he's Muslim too? If you have a problem with Obama being a Muslim, that is a prejudice towards other.
I would say that being Muslim is a little bit different than being black. Being black is not a bunch of ideas in your head, right? I mean, a religion is an ideology. It's a way of thinking. I would draw the very real distinction between race and religion.
Right, but I guess AC's gone now.
Thank you, AC.
What I'm trying to say is that these things are comparative. Generally, somebody who would say that Obama is a Muslim would be fine with somebody being a Christian, right?
Generally, probably, yeah.
And being a Christian is just a set of ideas in your head. So, being a Muslim doesn't necessarily mean good, bad ideas or whatever it is. It's just a set of ideas. So it's just kind of this way to say that this person's different. I don't like people that are different. Please make him go away. I really hate that my world's been disturbed by somebody who's different. But at the same time, the same people are having those problems would likely be having problems if we had a white Christian Democrat in office like we did from 1992 to 2000.
Yeah, my biggest problem with Obama being a Muslim would be that he believed in God.
Yeah, I would like to talk. I believe in God, but I would like to talk more about what his ideas are and what he tries to implement.
Wait,
in the office of
you
president.
believe in God?
I do.
You know what? So does ISIS.
That's right.
That's a really important
ISISian.
distinction here. We better get the Department of Homeland Security on you, bud.
I do, however, believe in a different God than the ISISians. So there you go.
Okay.
I've been trying to.
Is that like a thing, or did you make that up? ISISians?
Oh, I just made that up.
You just made that up. That's very creative of you.
Yeah. Another thing that people go after Obama for is being gay, as though it would matter to me in the least if he were.
Right. My biggest problem with Obama being gay is that he's screwing everyone.
My biggest problem with Obama being the first gay president is that he's a president.
Yes, yeah, that would be a pretty serious problem. And, he might want to mention that, right? And be like, hey, I'm, if I almost said something that people would have taken out of context. The out-of-context Cantwell Twitter account would have had fun with that. But, people have said that. Who's the guy, Larry Sinclair or whatever, said that they were, getting down in the back of a cab, smoking crack and having a little gay sex scene, and he wrote this whole book about it. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
I really don't. I find these attacks to be just so absurd. This is shorthand for people that don't want to think.
Yeah, the guy who I don't know if more than one person made the claim, but there was this guy. I think his name was Larry Sinclair, and I met him at I think it was Liberty Fest NYC one year that he was there, and he was like he's kind of a weird guy, and I was like, I don't know why this guy would be, telling this story. I mean, if it's true, crazier things have certainly happened, right? Maybe this guy was, smoking crack, having gay sex with the president of the United States, but didn't seem like the guy. What's the word I'm looking for? Was traveling in the highest class of circles, right?
Yeah.
And
you would think that if that was the circumstance for you, that you would be of a certain caliber, as it were,
right?
It should be somewhat believable, but. Then you look at the Hugh Grant. Do I have the actor right that got caught with the hooker?
I don't know.
Yeah, there was an actor that got Hugh Grant. I don't know. I'm not very good at these names. That got caught with some gal who.
We gotta watch more TV. Keep our pop culture.
Indeed. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live. Indefinite extension of the human lifespan is coming, but is it coming soon enough for you and me? That's the $80,000 question. I say $80,000 because that's what it costs to have your head cryonically frozen by Alcor. I've committed to do it. I got a life insurance policy, and I made them the beneficiaries. Bam. My best shot at living forever. Interested? Contact them at alcor.org. ALCOR.org. Mention my name, and I get a free year of membership.
Things aren't the same as they were when Geico started saving people money over 75 years ago. We didn't have reality TV. Back then, it was just reality. The most exciting thing that ever happened was when Jimmy got his head stuck in a gopher hole. And trust me, that's not a show anyone would binge watch. Yep, we didn't have much entertainment, but switching our car insurance to Geico was pretty exciting.
Geico, saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years.
Making the right decisions is a challenge to investors. Are we going to see economic growth, slide into a recession, or at worst, depression? Hi, Ted Anderson from Midas Resources. We all know when a company acts irresponsibly, divesting ourselves in a move towards safety is prudent. When the market becomes volatile, U.S. Treasuries are a safe haven. But what do you do when the U.S. government overextends itself and spends beyond its means? Many investors are turning toward gold as a common-sense alternative to traditional paper investments. Midas Resources has put together a powerful book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, discussing costs, benefits, risks, featuring full-color illustrations, weights, and measures. The book is free and can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. Paper investments are dwarfed by gold's 6,000-year history. Discover how gold may be right for you and your IRA by calling 800-686-2237. Whether buying or it's time for you to sell, the book is free. Call 800-686-2237.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Shiny badges on your jacket, shiny badges.
This is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and I just want to personally apologize for airing a jingle week after week, month after month, that turned out to be such an infectious brainworm. So to make it up to you, I'm offering a free gift. The next time you make a purchase at ShinyBadges.com, write worms in the transaction comments, and I'll send you something weird.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. And you can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. It's Mark with you.
And Cantwell.
ChristopherCantwell.com. So, I was just telling about how I had come back from Anarchapulco, and what a great time and what a beautiful place it is, and the weather and all that good stuff. And when I got back, I found an article from Salon.com, who really, I mean, as far as news media that takes the libertarian perspective from a fair and balanced standpoint, you really can't find anything less qualified than Salon.com.
Yeah, I mean, what I saw this article too, and I wrote a response to it on my website. It kind of got around a little bit, and this guy, Edwin Lyngar, he is apparently claims to have been a Ron Paul delegate in 2008 and went off to become a raving liberal feminist psychopath who now has like 13 articles up on Salon.com, and just everything is sort of, I was a Republican, I was a conservative, I was a libertarian, and here's why I'm a raving leftist now, is all of the titles of his piece.
Well, and like you'd have to. So first off, being a Republican and being a Ron Paul delegate and being a libertarian and being a voluntarist are not all the same things, right?
No, certainly. And he says conservative and right-winger and all of these different terms, which are not all interchangeable things.
Right. So I don't like, you can be a Republican and be a libertarian, or be a Republican and be a voluntarist. You can be a Republican and a Ron Paul delegate and a libertarian, but you can't sort of be all these things. And I think that it's what I found from this guy is that I tend to be somewhat skeptical of his philosophical grounding in the ideas of liberty, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I had made the same remark, because it seemed to me that the guy had said that he had been a libertarian his whole life, but it was after the Ron Paul delegation, or the Ron Paul being a delegate for Ron Paul at the 2008 convention, that he saw all these conspiracy theorists, and after that it was just all over for him. Because
I think that so there are certainly there's an argument within the liberty sphere about people, conspiracy theorists, whether they're a net benefit or a net detriment to the movement. I think if you say that we lose people based on the crackpottery of the conspiracy theorists, then you need to point out that we gain people as a result. And what does that mean? And I don't know. I mean, I think that it's just a part of the argument.
Oh, well, I lost a bunch of YouTube subscribers because we had the segment last week
on
where
you
and I were talking about the chemtrails, and I posted the video. It was enough of the damn chemtrails, and a bunch of my YouTube subscribers were like, "You're hiding the truth from everybody," blah, right? Yeah. They unsubbed and yelled at me and called me nasty names, and but I don't care, because it was kind of like a ridiculous thing, I think.
My experience is on being on the radio is there are lots of people that will that are rigid. Everybody's rigid in their thought processes and that kind of thing. There's no such there are very few truly open-minded people. It's very difficult to communicate with people. You have to use, it's when you're on the radio, you're trying to attract as many people as possible, be as convincing as you possibly can, but you can't convince all people at all the times. What I've found is the most rigid people that I have to deal with are conspiracy theorists, because they do not want to look at the other side of issues. It seems to me, if I'm going to use this term, and when I say a conspiracy theorist, because I truly believe we're all conspiracy theorists, but I mean sort of, this thing or that thing or whatever. And I don't feel we got kicked off of a station in Kalispell, Montana, over our position essentially on chemtrails and HARP. And that was like
the radio station was like, "You better tell the people about HARP or I'm going to kick you off."
No, the conspiracy theorists kept calling the radio station over and over again, saying, "Free Talk Live doesn't believe everything that we believe. You must cut them off the air. They're bad." Now that's you would expect that crap from the ultra-communist, liberal, pinko, bedwetting panty wearers, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm surprised we haven't gotten that for attacking feminism yet. I thought that for sure we'd have been kicked off 3 or 4 markets by by a couple of weeks into me doing that.
We probably don't have enough of those type of listeners to sort of get it whipped up, but that's what I would expect from that sphere. And so to my mind, the far end conspiracy theorists, the ones that believe the more radical stuff, really don't act any different than the gun grabbing feminists.
Yeah, he in any case, so this guy claims that this is what had turned him off. Anyway, this is Edwin Lyngar over at Salon.com, and ever since 2013, he's basically been posting over there about what terrible idiots libertarians are, and he has gone now and said that he went down to Honduras for a vacation, and apparently, as far as this guy is concerned, Honduras is an experiment in free markets run amok.
Where did he get this idea?
Well, he went down there, and obviously the fact that what he saw was that there has been a trend lately in Honduras over recent times for the government to sort of privatize certain industries that were previously government-run.
That had already failed?
He talks about seeing people with guns, private security guards, and that sort of thing down there.
You mean like private security guards with guns like we have in the United States?
Well, no, it's a little bit different.
Bigger guns?
No, it's basically like hoodlums with guns in their pants that have been hired to sort of keep guard over certain stores and that sort of thing.
Okay, so people who aren't as well uniformed
right.
that are watching things.
Yeah, basically like a guy with a handgun just stuffed down the front of his pants is like the security guard outside of a place. And, and of course, the government isn't maintaining the roads because, of course, this is what they think. This is what all these liberals think about us with the roads, right? Is that it's not that we want the roads to be privately run and well maintained. It's that we hate roads and we just,
just hate a road.
It was so funny when he said, I had like a meme of that I put on Meme Generator. It was like a picture of myself yelling and it was titled Road Hating Anarchist. But the I want to pull up the thing about the roads real quick. So he goes, I took a van trip across the country starting in Copan, where there are must-see Mayan ruins, across to a Caribbean sea to a ferry that took my family to Roatan Island. The trip from Copan to the coast took a full 6 hours, and we had 2 flat tires. The word treacherous is inadequate. A better description is post-apocalyptic. We did not see one speed limit sign in hundreds of kilometers. Not one.
You don't need a speed limit sign when it's full of potholes.
Right.
Like they're kind of like really cheap road bumps.
People drive around each other on the right and the left in every manner possible. The road was clogged with horses, scooters, and bicycles. People traveled in every conceivable manner along the crumbling arterial. Few cars have license plates, and one taxi driver told me that the private company responsible for making them went bankrupt. Instead of traffic stops, there are military checkpoints every so often, because this is the libertarian paradise that he's warning us about.
What's the difference between a military checkpoint and a traffic stop?
Fully automatics instead of semi-autos, I'm not entirely sure.
The color of the uniform? I mean, really, the bullet will kill you just as dead, liberal.
The roads seemed more dangerous to me than the gang violence. The greatest examples of libertarianism in action are the hundreds of men, women, and children.
I'm so glad that he found the roads in Honduras more dangerous than gang violence.
Yeah. Oh, man. And he said, so the men, women, and children standing alongside the roads all over Honduras. The government won't fix the roads, so these desperate entrepreneurs fill in potholes with shovels of dirt or debris. They then stand next to the filled-in potholes, soliciting tips from grateful motorists. That is the wet dream of libertarian private sector innovation.
855-450-3733, Free Talk Live.
Attention listeners, SurvivalLife.com is giving away free EverStrike permanent matches for a limited time only. These matches are waterproof and will light in any weather condition, rain, snow, or sleet. It will still throw a spark. Its built-in ferro rod strikes at 3,000 degrees, and it is good for 15,000 strikes. Normally, $15. Today, it's free. Get yours at freesurvivallighter.com. Again, that's freesurvivallighter.com. Hurry, supplies are limited. Visit freesurvivallighter.com today.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
If you're David, a few well-chosen words can help level the playing field with Goliath. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. Recently, I saw a Yellow Pages ad for an appliance repair company, and the headline read, "Why wait for Sears?" If you're going to the Yellow Pages, the Dead Sea Scrolls of advertising, you're ready to buy right now. So this is an attention-grabbing message. And how about the plumber whose radio ad says, "Call by noon Thursday, and we'll be there Saturday at no extra cost"? Smart guy. Most plumbing firms give their crew the weekend off. This one gives them Sunday and Monday off. In the words of a respected advertising executive, cut to the chase, make it quick, and tell me exactly what you can do for me, especially if you're looking for work. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are 1. Share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
Having spent 8 years, 6 months, and 21 days of my life in the Florida State prison system, I'm going to say that the incidences of rape are much, much exaggerated in the media. I'm sure it happened.
It makes for interesting television shows.
Yeah. I mean, all the things that I've seen on Oz, I saw in prison, but I was there for 9 years. So, if I saw one incidence of violence where somebody got their ear bit off, okay, it didn't happen every episode.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, it is a public perception, though, and people, it's almost a joke, or it's like a wink and a nod.
Yeah, sure.
Bubba's going to get you when you go to prison.
That's exactly the idea. As though sodomy somehow fixes people's broken minds. Right. That's not where they're putting that thing. So I mean, it's not gonna jostle anything around and fix it.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. It's 855-450-3733 to call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
And Cantwell.
855-450-3733. I should have mentioned that this is Ian's night off, and he is out doing something else. So, Cantwell, you didn't get a chance to come to the wine tasting for the Cameron Hughes wines that we had, did you?
No, I really should have, though. I heard great things about it.
It was really great. Now, these bottles were between, basically would be, if they were sold by their original producers, the original wineries, it'd be $70 to $100, in some cases even more expensive than $100 bottles of wine. But Cameron Hughes, they sell their bottles about as low as $10 to $15 for a bottle of wine. They make it very easy for you to get high-end wines. What they do is they go to these wineries, they take their overstocks, and then they relabel them and they sell them. You'll never know who it is, but you'll still have that high-quality wine, and it is delicious. They're available nationwide. All you have to go to chwines.com. It's chwines.com, and make an order, because I think you'll be delighted. Now, what's really important here to understand is...
And make sure that H is before the W, because if the H comes after the W, then you're going to be at like a liberal feminist site about whining about C's and H's and...
Wine.
chwines.com.
Gotcha. See, it's a wine joke. chwine.com.
Wine.
And what's expensive about wine
Stop
is...
whining!
Shipping it through the mail. It's heavy. Well, if you use my coupon code, you get free shipping.
Free shipping on wine?
Yeah, I spoke to Cameron Hughes, and he was really cool about it. By the way, he took a little time to step down and complain about post-prohibition America and how it's difficult to sell alcoholic beverages and stuff. So, I had a great time talking to him about that. The guy's on board as far as all that stuff goes. Anyway, this is where...
Ban it. It'll be easier to sell in the black market.
You get free shipping if you use coupon code FTL at chwine.com. There's in the upper left hand corner is a microphone. Just click on that and put in my code FTL. Don't wait. You totally need to try this wine. Right now, it's amazing, and this offer simply will not last. chwine.com, coupon code FTL.
Yeah, once this guy figures out how much he's losing to ship the wine to you for free, he's not going to keep that up. Have you guys ever done a drunk Free Talk Live?
No.
Never?
No.
How long have you been doing the show?
12 years.
12 years?
Something
You've
like that.
never done a drunk episode?
No. You think I want to hang out and drink with Ian?
Well, there's that. I mean, me and Eddie, we would get drunk at some garbage podcast. I think it was episode 7, I want to say, is hidden from the interwebs. It got so bad that I was like, I don't even want this out there.
I wonder how bad it would be. You see, drunk people think that they're much more interesting than they are.
Yeah.
Like if drunk people were interesting, bars would have stadium seating, right? Like you can sit in there, put microphones on drunk people and just listen to these really entertaining people. But that doesn't happen because they're not entertaining.
Well,
and they're not
sometimes, I mean, I go to, either karaoke nights or open mics. So there are people who get up there and actually have some interesting things to say. But generally speaking, it's a good generality to say these drunk people are not nearly as good as they think they are.
Yeah, I would say that that's the case. So, but I just, it sounds entertaining. Let's drink and do a Some Garbage podcast.
Yeah,
I don't care.
So go to chwines.com, get some wine shipped to you for free with code FTL, and then you can get drunk and feel interesting. So we were sort of going off on this story, this Edwin Lyngar. Do we have somebody? Is in?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I just let them know. Okay. So on the main line, there are two kinds of neighborhoods, slums. So we were talking before we went out before. There's this guy over at Salon who claims he used to be a libertarian, that he wrote this article about his Honduras vacation. This is like some libertarian paradise, basically, because the government ceased to function.
Right. And I, if this guy was a libertarian, I've read several of his articles. If this guy was a libertarian, he did not understand the ideas of liberty at all, or he is a lying a-hole, right? Like these, what are the two choices? Because he trots out every single used up canard, every debunked notion about the ideas of liberty, and he will use them over and over again as though they have never been debunked and that nobody has ever thought about these things.
Yeah, basically, I mean,
you have to write an article to be this dishonest, because you could never sit on a television program, you could never be on a radio program and actually talk to somebody and have your ideas questioned and get away with it. This is why I don't like articles.
Yeah, like even MSNBC would have more intellectual integrity than to release this. This could only appear on a website like salon.com. Well, I would go so far as to say that salon.com has lower journalistic standards than MSNBC. Not that I think that MSNBC has particularly high standards. But his premise is basically that because the government in Honduras ceased to function, that this is some kind of libertarian paradise. But what I looked into, and
this is the same old joke as if you don't like
move to Somalia.
Yeah, move to Somalia, that one. As though the United States government, going in and destabilizing Somalia every time they try to put together some kind of functioning government over the course of the last nearly 30 years now, somehow is a liberty paradise. I mean, these are not these ideas aren't in conjunction. Plus, the ideas of liberty take time to take hold. You can't just look at something today and assume that everything's great.
Well, and in the case of Somalia and in Honduras, this is a situation where a socialist dictatorship basically collapsed. They were both military dictatorships that basically was a state-run economy is what happened. I mean,
sure.
Up through the mid-90s in Honduras, there was the government deficit was something like 85% foreign funded, mostly by the United States in Honduras. They had a military dictatorship which completely controlled the economy, guaranteed all loans. It was a state-run, state-financed economy. And basically when things started going toe up over there, if you will, then the foreign lenders were basically like, hey, you can't afford to do this anymore, so guess what? You're going to have to privatize your industries. You can't continue to subsidize everything. And of course, what happens is when you have a corrupt dictatorship running your economy and it starts privatizing, it doesn't exactly auction everything off in the fairest of manners. It goes and it auctions them off in a way that enriches the cronies in the government. And
I'm not sure auctioning is necessarily the best way to go about privatizing subsidizing any particular industry. I understand. I have value for an auction, but the fairer their auction, the better. And it's difficult when the government's in play. It's unlikely you're going to get a fair auction.
Right. Who gets to bid and who has the wealth already been distributed to in that country that has the money to buy it, because the nationalization of industry was putting people into poverty before the thing happened in the first place.
Let's go to Ryan in Massachusetts. Ryan, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, this might be neither here nor there, but Mark, when you mentioned if drunk people were interesting, they would build arenas to them. Have you ever heard of Jimmy Buffett?
Have you been drinking, Ryan?
Any number of people. A little bit, but
there you go. See, Ryan's one of those people that can tell a joke after being drunk, and it's good.
Steve Miller Band. Where do you live? What state do you live in, man?
Oh, he wins.
Point well taken, sir.
Ryan wins the radio. Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought, when this guy talks about his, using Honduras as some kind of liberty yardstick, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and Rob Wenzel replied to this over at Target Liberty also. Rob runs Economic Policy Journal as well, and he had written that they have like the most complex minimum wage law ever in the entire world. Like, to even for me to try to recite it on the radio would just be a painful exercise that nobody would stay tuned through. But
right, and this is something that never gets pointed out by people who want to use failed states as ideas for liberty. Is, hey, look, these places aren't listed as the most economically free on the Heritage Foundation or the Fraser Institute's most economically free economies charts.
Yeah, I think Honduras was like 179 out of 189 or something to that effect.
Right. I mean, so it's I don't know, radically irresponsible to call this place a libertarian paradise. Right? And
it's libertarian because it sucks is basically his premise.
855-450 Free Talk Live.
Shiny badges on your jacket, shiny badges.
This is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and I just want to personally apologize for airing a jingle week after week, month after month, that turned out to be such an infectious brainworm. So to make it up to you, I'm offering a free gift. The next time you make a purchase at ShinyBadges.com, write worms in the transaction comments, and I'll send you something weird.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
If the IRS has garnished your paycheck or seized money from your bank account, you need to get professional tax help now. Fast action is required to put a halt to these aggressive IRS collection tactics. You can count on the knowledgeable team of tax professionals at Wall & Associates. With over 30 years of experience, Wall & Associates has settled the tax problems of thousands of taxpayers for a small fraction of what they owed. For a free face-to-face consultation, call 1-800-425-4610 to put a wall between you and the IRS. 1-800-425-4610 or look for us on the web at wallandassociates.net. We solve tax problems. If you hire Wall & Associates today, you'll never have to talk to the IRS again. To stop the levies and seizures today, take action now. Call Wall & Associates at 1-800-425-4610. Wall & Associates, 1-800-425-4610. Based on actual cases, results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The Empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Nothing compares to a good cup of coffee. But if you're getting your coffee from the store, you're likely not getting a good cup of coffee. Free Talk Live's teamed up with BuzzBox to bring you a free pound of the best coffee, shade-grown, organic, top 1% grade Arabica. But what's different is that for every 10 people that get coffee through our link, coffee.freetalklive.com, we can give another microloan through Kiva. When the loan's paid, we lend the money again. Help others, one cup at a time, coffee.freetalklive.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. It's Mark with you.
And Cantwell.
So we are headed off to the Texas Bitcoin Conference at the end of this month. It's March the 28th and 29th down in Austin, Texas. It's going to be a great event.
Are we?
We being Free Talk Live, not I haven't bought a ticket for you. Well, sorry about that.
I think I can get like $25 off though if I use a code, right?
Yeah, you absolutely can. I'll let me tell you about it. It's if you go to TexasBitcoinConference.com, the normal ticket price is $150. You use coupon code FTL. Get it for $125. There's going to be great speakers there. Jason King, Robert Murphy, Vitalik Buterin, Charlie Shrim, David Johnston, and Sabala Nair, who is IBM's architect of their blockchain technology. She'll be flying in from India. And George Gilder, who's the guy who practically created Reaganomics. It's going to be a great event. I think the most important event, the highlight, is the second $1 million Bitcoin 2.0 hackathon. So please come join us. The great time will be had by all at the Texas Bitcoin Conference. I think this is the premier Bitcoin conference. TexasBitcoinConference.com. Go get your coupon code. Use that coupon code FTL and get your ticket there. Let's go to the phones. Got Crichton calling in from Kentucky. Crichton, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
How's it going, guys?
I'm glad you asked, Crichton. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about true conspiracies by the U.S. government.
Okay, there's lots of these.
Lots of these. And I wanted to talk about chemtrails and how you can examine that thoughtfully and actually determine for yourself if you think if it's real.
Okay.
Let's talk about, first of all, what is the point of a chemtrail? I mean, this theory has been going on for at least 40 years.
It's to depopulate the planet.
40 years, 40 years?
At least.
Okay.
And so pretty much since the dawn of jet engines, and the idea being is that somebody's putting chemicals in these jet streams, presumably to cause harm of some kind.
Yeah, and obviously it's obvious that there are contrails out there, because if there weren't, the sheer quantity of liquid that it would take to make the things that you see in the sky, it would be dumped out of the plane in too short a period of time to make most of these lines.
Free Talk Live. It's all chemtrails all the time. Go ahead, sir.
But what bothers me about the idea is that if the goal is to cause some kind of harm to the public, and this has been going on for 40 years, how successful have they been?
It's a government program, sir. It's supposed to fail.
This is kind of my argument with the fluoride in the water argument. So many people will tell you with the fluoride in the water that the intention is to make is to turn the voters into doe-eyed mush brains that can't make their own decisions.
That seems to be working out fantastically.
Well, until you realize that Keene, New Hampshire doesn't put fluoride in the water. Would you say, Christopher Cantwell, that the town in which you live, that somehow people are better informed here, more active, smarter?
No, I would
No, they're
not.
not.
I would not say that. However,
so there's plenty of things to look the other direction.
Well, there could still be. I don't think. What did I read about the Keene water supply? Somebody mentioned something about the water here. That's it's not that the city is fluoridating it, but there's something about the water here that somebody had said to me that they weren't a big fan of, and I don't recall what it is.
I couldn't tell you.
But also, these people were probably drinking fluoridated water before they moved from somewhere else. There's probably chlorine in the water. There's probably other chemicals in the water.
There's a good portion of the population that lives out in the country and drinks regular well water. Those folks, you can't.
I didn't say that fluoride was the source of all stupidity, Mark. I just said that it seemed to be working well. If you wanted to dumb down a population, whatever they're doing is working out magnificently.
I think that what they're doing probably has far more to do with the public schools than it has to do with the fluoride in the water. That's all my claim would be.
Point well taken.
And there's a lovely example of a very true conspiracy right there.
Yeah, I mean, I heard this really whacked out conspiracy that every 4 years this whole group of people gets together to choose a person who will violently rule over 320 million people in the United States.
And strangely, that one's true too.
Yeah, and they do it all over the television. I mean, if you watch C-SPAN, you see conspiracies happening all of the time, right? I mean, a whole bunch of guys get together, a bunch of power-hungry sociopaths get together and decide, hey, we're going to tell everybody to do this or go to prison.
And I hate that the conspiracy theories are late.
Even better, using the example of the presidential election, you go out there and ask most of these people, vast majority of these people think they're actually voting for someone. And when it's just a poll, a public opinion poll, and it has to go to the Electoral College. You tell these people what the Electoral College is, and most of them look at you like you're crazy. That's a conspiracy theory right there, and it's wide open.
Yeah, another thing is if you don't know what the Electoral College is, you probably shouldn't be casting a vote for president anyhow. Then again, the vote for president is probably the least valuable vote you're going to cast. So, that gets...
And it's the one everybody gets ginned up about because that's what the television tells them to care about.
A lot of people will lay the blame of conspiracy theories at the feet of Alex Jones, for instance. He's a big-time talk show host that talks about conspiracy theories. But when I listen to Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and I listen to these shows, these guys are constantly theorizing about what the Democrats think and what the liberals are doing. Rush Limbaugh will go so far as to claim that he knows those liberals like he knows every inch of his glorious naked body.
Oh yeah, I mean Glenn Beck. I'm so glad I took the satellite radio out of my car. But when I was doing it, I was listening to the Patriot Channel all the time on Sirius XM, and Glenn Beck would go off about how the Islamic faith is the Antichrist and that there's this big showdown between the religions coming, like the big apocalyptic war of the religions, and it's complete fanaticism, completely crazy off the wall stuff.
Fear is the health of the state when it comes down to it. I mean, that's what it's all about. Is that the reason you have to have the state is because you're fearful. People who are out mongering fear, they're doing the work of the state, whether they know it or not. Creighton?
Yes, sir.
Thanks very much for the call. 8-5, you've got to ask. You got to go.
But it is. I forgot what we were talking about. All right, you've served your purpose, sir. But I mean, at the same time, though, right? I mean, tranquility is not exactly the enemy of the state, right? If people are real comfortable with the government pushing them around and taking their money and telling them what to do, I don't think that that's exactly doing any damage to the state infrastructure either.
If they're not scared, they won't be tranquil. That's people that are. But what I would claim is that the tranquil people tend to believe that the state is out there protecting them from other things. I don't mean scared in the sense of running around in the street panic-stricken. I mean that, you believe that there's these other people out there that want to ruin your life in this way or that way, and that they don't work for the government, or at least this one.
Right.
And
they're afraid that the big capitalist boogeyman is going to come take their house away.
Yeah, whatever it might be. It's always something. Let's go to Todd. Calling in from Michigan. Todd, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Chris and Mark?
You should know that because you should have been listening to the show. Why are you asking me what's going on?
I'm joking, Chris. Take
Okay.
a chill pill.
All right. Tell better jokes.
But I just wanted to talk to you guys about the documentary Citizen 4. Have you guys seen that?
I did. I saw it back in December down in Burns Court Theater in Sarasota, Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic documentary. I was glad that it won the documentary feature at the Oscars this year. But it went into great detail about how Edward Snowden came forward to Glenn Greenwald and the filmmaker Laura Poitras about the whole aspect of the NSA and what the NSA was doing with all the information they're collecting from emails, from phone records, you name it. And it's interesting that all the documents that Snowden gave to Glenn Greenwald, only a tiny percentage of those documents were given to him, and they vetted those emails, and they decided that only those documents that were about the NSA listening to our phone calls, spying on every single American, should be released. And of course, it also shows the weeks leading up to the interview and then the weeks after the interview, how the media and all the statists in the media were freaking out over the revelations given in the leak about X-Key score.
Yeah, I thought that what it really did was it made, for me, Edward Snowden a very real individual who was petrified at what he was doing, and that he was, like any person of courage and bravery, he was scared. But he went ahead and charged forward as he needed to. Thanks for calling in on that, Todd. Really appreciate that. 855-450-3733. I would recommend Citizen 4.
Well, I did it. I finally left the empire behind. And now that I'm safely settled in Chile, I'm gathering with others like me to build a new community called Fort Galt. Fort Galt is designed to be the ideal home base for professionals and their families to live and work in peace. If you're ready to ditch the superstate and bring your business to freer lands, visit us online at fortgalt.com. That's fortgalt.com.
Kay Oliver is part of the Twayambe Women's Group in Jinja, Uganda. She gets old clothes, fixes them up, washes them, and then sells them at the Jinja market. She was quite happy with her success at her business, but realized that a sewing machine would really help her make more money to take care of her 2 kids. Free Talk Live helped her get that sewing machine. You can help us help more people by getting your coffee through coffee.freetalklive.com. Make a difference, 1 cup at a time. Get a free pound, try out the subscription, cancel at any time, coffee.freetalklive.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross may be spending the rest of his life in prison. His family is planning to appeal his conviction, but they need your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Ross needs your help now more than ever. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates, online at thelibertybeat.com. I'm Brian Hagan with your Liberty Beat for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2015. Gold opened today at $1,212, up $5. Silver opened at $16.51, up 19 cents. And Bitcoin is trading around $271.31. Today's Bitcoin price is brought to you by ExpressCoin, the fastest and most reliable way to buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin today at expresscoin.com. In the news, new details have emerged regarding how the Stingray cell phone surveillance tools disrupt cellular service to targeted devices, as well as phones in the immediate area. The revelation came in the recent release of documents related to the use of Stingrays in the state of Florida. In an application for a warrant, FBI Special Agent Michael Scamilla admitted the devices have the potential to intermittently disrupt cellular service to a small fraction of wireless customers in the immediate area. The surveillance device forces phones to downgrade from 3G and 4G networks to the less secure 2G network to intercept data being sent from the phones to cellular towers. Now, this can cause a disruption in internet service and the ability to make and receive calls for a brief period of time. The news raises questions on what, if anything, the Federal Communications Commission, who is responsible for approving the device, knew about the service disruption. On Saturday, activists held a rally in Chicago's Homan Square to protest the use of a warehouse as a domestic black site where police have been questioning and holding suspects illegally. Hundreds of activists gathered outside the facility, calling for an end to the secretive activities, which include accounts of suspects being denied access to lawyers and family and subject to beatings and threats. A California judge has found that a law requiring new semi-automatic handguns to stamp identifying information on cartridges of bullets is constitutional. The challenge to the Unsafe Handguns Act was brought forth by the Calguns Foundation, a Second Amendment foundation that argued the law violates the Second Amendment because it bars them from buying handguns that are in common use. The Liberty Beat is sponsored by CoinArch, offering innovative trading solutions for Bitcoin. Do more than just buy and sell Bitcoin. Use long and short positions to profit in rising and falling markets and to boost your returns through leverage. Visit CoinArch.com and sign up using coupon code MAX and get free brokerage for the first 7 days. That's CoinArch.com. Support also comes from the Texas Bitcoin Conference. Hear from speakers such as Charlie Shrem, Dr. Robert Murphy, Vitalik Buterin, and Catherine Bleich. March 28th and 29th at ACL Live at the Moody Theater. Tickets on sale now at TexasBitcoinConference.com. Use coupon code LibertyBeat for $25 off your ticket. That's coupon code LibertyBeat. This is the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2015. Check out the website at thelibertybeat.com. A new poll by Reuters shows that most Americans are largely ignorant to the purpose of the Federal Reserve, yet they believe the government should allow the central bank to run itself. A poll of 1,388 Americans found that more than 75% believe the Federal Reserve should be left to its own devices, rather than giving Congress detailed oversight. The numbers also show that 54% of Americans do not know who the Fed chair is, and 48% admit they know very little about the private bank. The poll comes as the Senate Banking Committee holds a hearing today discussing a possible audit of the bank. On February 27th, Muslims came to Oklahoma State Capitol to celebrate Muslim Day, when they were confronted by protesters shouting anti-Islam messages. The event has been covered in the mainstream media, minus the detail that members of the Oklahoma Libertarian Party, as well as groups working with the Interfaith Alliance, formed a human chain around the Muslims as they entered the building. The Libertarian volunteers also served coffee and donuts to the anti-Islam protesters. Will Coley of Muslims for Liberty believes the media is blocking out positive relations between the libertarian community and the Muslim community. The Liberty Beat is brought to you by Midas Resources Incorporated, helping clients convert their paper 401ks and IRAs to solid gold and silver. Get their 10 Reasons book free by calling 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237. Looking to promote your business or cause to tens of thousands of loyal listeners? Well, for a limited time only, the Liberty Beat is offering you the chance to say big while spreading your message. It's simple. Just sign up for 3 months of advertising and get your 4th month free. Don't miss out on this unique opportunity. Just visit thelibertybeat.com/advertise and use coupon code GCN in the Describe Your Company section. This is the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2015. I'm Brian Hagan reporting, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Now, a lot of little girls do ballet even though their fathers couldn't care less and don't see what the big deal is. But one talented little prodigy actually choreographed a whole ballet that her father could enjoy and even look forward to. Let's meet Erin Kemper and her father, Jack.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Erin, how did you do that? I thought about all the things that my dad likes to watch and put it into a ballet.
Well, we have a special treat for you today because Erin is now going to perform her new ballet. When I pay the bills, I get to make the rules.
We can't afford that.
World War II. I miss your mother too, but we're gonna have to do the best without her. Go Redskins!
Bravo! Well done. Boy, I wish she were mine. You know, my two girls are grown up, but you still couldn't pay me to watch one of their a cappella shows. What inspired you to create this amazing ballet?
I'm really inspired by the theme of my dad paying any attention to me at all.
Now, at the end, I hear she just put the game up on the big screen.
I don't know where she gets it.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind on this live edition of Free Talk Live with Mark.
And Cantwell.
855-450-3733 or LRN.FM on Skype. Just send us a friend request there and then, or a contact request, I guess is what it's called. Send it and we'll click on it, and then you can call in and usually sound better on Skype. 855-450-FREE. So we've been talking about this gentleman who apparently took a trip. Well, he's been claiming over the course of years to have been a libertarian and have been a Ron Paul delegate and a bunch of things, and sort of using this as credence for his really kind of poorly done libertarian bashing that Salon doesn't seem to have a problem with, even though he's not really addressing any issues. He's just trotting out canards and then addressing those.
Did you ever see that story in the New Yorker, the Libertarian Police Department?
No,
I'll share it with you after the show. It was really funny because and this is pure satire. It's a big joke, right? It's this story of it's a fictional story of this cop who you have to pay for everything, right? So there's a Bitcoin theft and he's like, who's gonna pay me to go track down the Bitcoin thieves? And then he goes to shoot at the robber, and then he has to put a quarter in his gun to shoot and all of this stuff. But it was such thick satire, right? This is a big joke. With this guy, it almost seems that way, right? He's just talking about, so the next thing he's talking about here on Salon.com is the story here is that he's in Honduras. This is his vacation that he goes on, and he's talking about
and he's seeing some Mayan ruins, and I love myself some Mayan ruins too.
Right, and he's looking at Honduras, and it's a complete S-hole, and he's looking around and saying, well, this is what libertarianism turns a place into, because the government sort of cut spending there after the socialist military dictatorship sort of collapsed. So he goes, for our last meal in San Pedro Sula, my family walked a couple of blocks from our fortress-like bed and breakfast to a pizza restaurant. It was the middle of the day, and we were the only customers. We walked through the gated walls and passed a man in casual slacks with a pistol belt slung haphazardly around his waist. Welcome to Ayn Rand's libertarian paradise, where your extra-large pepperoni pizza must also have an armed guard. Part of the reason this discredited libertarian BS still carries any weight for Americans is because so few of us travel. All right, so to the gun thing real quick, right? He talks about this in a previous part of the article where there's not really like police around. There are military patrols that have, machine guns on top of their Humvees or whatever. And basically there's not a real police department in effect there. So people basically have to hire criminals to guard their businesses.
Well, the difference between police and military is almost semantic.
It basically is,
I mean, if you're using your military to keep the peace, that's what peace officers are for. A military is to... properly, when employed properly, a military should be housed within a country in order to be sent out of the country when the invasion occurs. Now, how long it takes to send it out of the country depends on how successful your military is against the other military, but that's really what that's all about. So if they're using the military as police, then let's just call them police.
Well,
or
they
really
aren't. What's going on is that they don't have much in the way of, it doesn't sound like there's much in the way of law enforcement going on down there.
Right.
However, they have no shortage of laws. So he's talking about the situation where a guy with has a gun in his belt, and there's private security guards around here who more look like hoodlums. Well, the interesting thing about this is that it's illegal to carry a gun in Honduras. So if you're talking about this being some libertarian paradise because people have guns, well, the people who have the guns in a society where guns are outlawed are outlaws. It's not a situation you're talking about crime and poverty and all of these terrible things going on.
So this is a failure of liberal politics is what this is.
Yeah, it's a failed socialist state is what's going on. And I mentioned earlier, I mean, Wenzel had looked in, on the Economic Freedom Index, they were really low towards the bottom. They have their utilities are almost completely government run. I think like 90% of the electricity, all of the power is supplied by the government there. It's just completely absurd. So he's saying that for you to get a slice of pizza, you have to walk past a guy with a gun. And I'm like, well, I walk around to go on Free Talk Live. You have to walk past a guy with a gun. Me. It's not this big slum that we live in.
I would also point out that if you're going to just pull things out of history and around the world as being libertarian paradises, I would be much more interested in talking about the United States in the 19th century. In many ways, you're looking at a much more libertarian country sphere prior to the progressive era, which began in basically the 1890s. Certainly there was thought and writings prior to that, but it gets rolling in the 1890s. When you are looking at the 1800s in the United States, there's a lot of things you can look at. Like, for instance, there were no police. They had sheriffs and that sort of thing. But if you wanted if you wanted protection, if you needed protection, there was private protection. Largely, people didn't need protection beyond having a gun at the house. Or that sort of thing. Some people would carry their guns around with them, but it was also, they were relatively common because a lot of people would be hunting too. So, that's just that. You didn't necessarily even think about somebody walking up on you that had a rifle in their hand.
Yeah, an armed society tends to be a polite society. We have very little in the way of gun control here in New Hampshire. There's a good possibility that we're going to have even less in the near future. And guess what? Not a great deal of violent crime in this place because criminals don't live very long in a place like that.
Right. There are towns in New Hampshire that don't have cops, but they certainly have guns. If you go about doing burglaries in there, you'll soon find out what they intend to do with them.
Yeah, exactly. So
this Lyngar guy, this author, I think it's you rightly pointed out previously that he doesn't have a very big libertarian footprint. You know what I mean?
No, he definitely doesn't. I mean, when I looked it up, I put on my Facebook page, I said anybody who was involved in the Ron Paul campaign in 2008 get in touch with me. So J. Neil Schulman got in touch with me, and he's the author of Alongside Night.
Yeah.
And
Free Talk Live actually is a sponsor of his movie for Alongside Night.
Okay.
In it a little bit too.
And he was a 2008 delegate, and he tagged a couple of his friends, and they came over, and they were like, we've gone through this before. We have no idea who this guy is. So, somehow the guy managed to get a picture of himself with Ron Paul. Who knows how that happened. But there's a lot of question as to whether he was even a delegate.
Right. If he's a delegate to the state convention, you would think that would be a piece of paper that he could put up on the internet somehow, right? Like if that's what your credibility is for writing how many anti-libertarian articles?
I think there's 13 of them up on salon.com right now.
You would think that he would have some sort of piece of paper to prove it. It's possible he just threw that stuff away. I don't keep the paper proving that I'm a delegate to the state convention for the state of New Hampshire, but I probably could quickly prove that.
The earliest writing I was able to find from him was an article at Roll Reboot, which is like a feminist lunatic site. And I said, this is what I wrote about it on my site here. I've got it from ChristopherCantwell.com. I said, but if Lyngar were ever a libertarian, he was never a particularly outspoken one and certainly not so well informed. Despite bragging about having graduated Antioch University in 2010 with his MFA in creative writing and also holding an MA in writing from the University of Nevada, Reno.
I love the creative writing. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's so
He's
funny.
a fiction author, right? Lyngar doesn't at first glance have any writing on the internet favoring libertarianism. He claims he was a Ron Paul delegate in 2008, but
Ron Paul photobombs anybody, right?
Right. Anybody can get a picture with Ron Paul, basically,
I've
if you show up to an
Ron Paul.
event.
It's awesome. He's awesome about that.
The earliest writing I can find from him in 2012 talking about how he became a feminist after his wife left him for another man because he was a complete piece of garbage. His wife left him with the kids, and he struggled to keep them clothed. His daughter's pants kept falling down, he recalls, because he couldn't get the sizes right, and he only provided her with a belt after the school demanded he do so. Not exactly the pinnacle of responsibility proper libertarianism encourages one to be.
I don't know that proves anything or doesn't prove anything.
I go into it a little more, but then I heard the music.
But I love the idea that he.
He's just a piece of garbage.
I'm a feminist because I need a woman to dress my kids for me. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live. World's full of crazy people. 855-450-FREE.
Honestly, we canceled an appointment to have Jake euthanized to give Dynamite a chance to save this dog's life. Jake is an 8-year-old male Akita. His entire stomach and groin area, his face, his elbows, his ears, every orifice was just riddled with yeast and sores. We had a vet treat him, and Jake didn't respond at all. My son heard the commercial for Dynamite, DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids, flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa, the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food. Within 4 days, Jake started to heal. It was the most amazing thing I have ever seen. The yeast is receding, and now his belly is completely cleared up. It chokes me up. It brings tears to my eyes. Everything we tried failed except the Dynavite.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Gold. It's like nothing else on Earth. From the Romans through the Renaissance, from the Industrial Age to the Space Age, gold has weathered the test of time. For 6,000 years, gold has remained the ultimate store of wealth. According to the World Gold Council and the U.S. Mint, demand is at an all-time high. The stage is being set for the reemergence of gold as the common-sense alternative to a fiat paper currency that gets weaker every day. Midas Resources is proud to offer the hard-hitting report that arms you with the truth you need to protect you and your family from the Fed's plans for your hard-earned money. Don't gamble with your future. Call Midas Resources today and ask for your free copy of As Good as Gold. Call 1-800-686-2237 for the report the Fed hopes you'll never see. As Good as Gold can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. If you have ever thought about owning gold, you must read this report. Call Midas today at 800-686-2237.
Who did you let down today? Your wife? Your kids? Well, how about yourself? Take a look in the mirror. If you're tired of your drug and alcohol problem, you need to fix the problem, and right now, before you hurt or kill yourself, or worse yet, somebody else. Call the addiction specialist now at the Detox and Treatment Helpline, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you have private insurance, we specialize in finding you the right treatment. When you call right now, you'll speak to a recovering addict who understands what you're going through right now. Let us help you break your addiction to drug and alcohol before it's too late. This call is completely confidential and free. So if you have private insurance, take 5 minutes of your time, call right now. I promise it'll change your life. 800-208-5187. 800-208-5187. 800-208-5187. Call right now. 800-208-5187.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, the Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. 855-450-FREE. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind in this live edition of Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
And Cantwell.
Or you can call us on Skype. Our username there is LRN. That's as in Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM. And, send a friend request and I'll accept it. And then you can call in and usually sound a bit better. LRN.FM on Skype and 855-450-FREE. Cantwell, we're talking about this. What's this guy's name?
Edwin Lyngar or Lyngar. Yeah. I'm not sure of the pronunciation there, but he's basically a salon propagandist. Salon.com, a lefty pit of deception and lies.
And he's writing this article about his visit with his new lovely bride and family to Honduras, and sort of pointing out the similarities between Honduras, a failed socialist state, and a libertarian paradise in whatever ham-fisted fashion he can, right?
Right. Basically trying to draw, the line with these people is basically because the government hasn't solved all of their problems that this is libertarianism, right? And it's a completely absurd thing. And I think we've gone through his article, and I feel like that's we've sort of covered that sufficiently, but I've started to go into who this guy is now, right? Now, he is he said he was a Ron Paul delegate in 2008, and that this was his first, introduction to the movement, and when he saw all these conspiracy kooks, then he just ran away from it, and ever since, he's been like a left-wing propagandist.
So, right, hasn't had that much experience with the movement. Most of his stuff that he trots out are tropes that have been disproven time and time again. The fact that he makes a living, I assume, writing this stuff.
No, he actually works for the Nevada Department of Wildlife is the thing I was going to get. He's worked for the government his entire life.
Well, he said he became a feminist when his wife left him, and I guess he had some trouble fitting the clothes on his children, as though that means anything.
Right. Well, I mean, it doesn't sound. He talked about what a wonderful parent he was in this article, but apparently, he couldn't give. He didn't think to give his daughter a belt until his kid's school demanded that he do so. So, I mean, he's always out there talking about how wonderful he is and how irresponsibly nuts everybody else is. But, he's going to send his daughter to school with pants that don't fit and only buys her a belt after the school says, hey, come put some clothes on your child, please. But he talks about, he had this article over at Roll Reboot, this feminist website, about how he became a feminist, and his wife had left him for another man and basically went off and left him with the kids in the house and whatnot. She didn't take him through the courts or whatever. And he talks at some length about his disastrous dating life before he found feminism. He says he would go out to bars and, quote, get hammered and, quote, hit on women. And surprisingly enough, this didn't work out so well for this guy. And I've got a picture of him here. He's not the most attractive man in the world. He's a divorced, bald, overweight alcoholic. And it was only by lowering himself to a white knight social justice warrior that he found Joy, his current wife. Now, Joy, he says, makes more money than him, which is probably be good because I don't imagine his less than stellar writing talents are earning enough to pay the bills. Lyngar has spent most of his life working for the government, according to his LinkedIn profile. He was a public affairs specialist for the U.S. Coast Guard for 4 years and has worked with the Nevada Department of Wildlife since 2002.
What's he do there? I mean, what do you use your...
He's a PR specialist for the Nevada Department of Wildlife, which is basically just a welfare program. I'm sorry to tell you, ladies and gentlemen. How much PR does the Nevada Department of Wildlife need to do?
Well, whatever PR they need to do, PR is basically, it's newspeak, code speak for telling lies, right?
Right.
So he's got a creative writing degree, which is... a degree in telling lies.
Right.
Telling lies well that people understand are lies.
Yeah.
Then he worked as doing PR for the Coast Guard, right?
And then PR for the Department of Nevada.
For the Department of yeah. So I mean, this guy's basically his credentials for claiming to be a libertarian are that he's a liar.
Yeah. So he describes his career before feminism as, quote, I strive to climb a corporate ladder with a mediocre education and solid BSing skills. Though his LinkedIn profile only shows him working for a private company for 2 years, A&R Partners, a technology PR firm, with absolutely no information on their website. Those solid BSing skills left him well primed for salon journalism.
I feel like salon here, this is the difficulty when you're doing, when you run a web page. especially like Salon, is you want hits. You need hits. Hits are the lifeblood of what you do.
I know that all too well.
And that means that you got to kind of do what it takes to get those hits. You know, when this big, fat, bald liar rolls out with his bull crap about libertarianism that has been debunked after his first article, right? Like his relationship with libertarianism, where, you know, sort of his footprint prior to the ideas of liberty, his delegate, you know, his status as a delegate, all this stuff. He's been debunked over and over again.
Yeah, I found his Facebook profile. I have no Facebook friends in common with him. It's hard for me to believe he was a 2008 delegate and has no Facebook friends in common with me.
Well, I suppose that's a possibility, but it's, I don't know. I think that I suspect everything he says, and they keep on putting his stuff up.
Yeah, and he brags about his BSing skills, the creative writing degree. I mean, the guy's a professional liar.
Right, and brags about it at the same time. And no doubt, maybe he's very good at it. But Salon kind of is put in a difficult position here, right? First off, Salon hates themselves some libertarians, right? They're socially leftist bullcrap. And not that I'm not, I guess, socially leftist in the sense that I believe people should be
You are not socially leftist. You're not a cultural Marxist. You just think that people should be free to do what they want. And I think that that's an important thing to nail home for people, is that we are not fiscally conservative, socially liberal. I hate liberals on social issues trying to put classes of people above each other. That's disgusting to me.
Well, that's a distinction I don't quite understand. Could you clear that up for me a little more?
Okay, so it's things like, say, affirmative action, I don't think too many libertarians are in favor of,
I guess that would be a social issue, right?
Right. This is I don't think that gay marriage is a particularly libertarian issue. I think that the libertarian position on marriage is to get the government out of it. I don't know why anybody seeks to punish gay people with marriage licenses. Right? I don't know. I don't think men should be marrying women at this point. Why they'd want to marry each other is beyond my comprehension. I don't get it why people would want to do that. So yeah, the constant, the race baiting, the you know, an unarmed black teen. Well, you know, but he was a strong-armed robber. You know, maybe not the most sympathetic of characters, but the left doesn't mind harping on that sort of thing. These are lefty social justice warrior issues that I don't think have any place in libertarianism.
Yeah, well, I get where you're coming from. I tend
feminist garbage. Oh my God, the gender pay gap, Mark.
That's just been debunked over and over again in major news sources.
Do you think that debunking has anything to do with left-wing fiscal policy?
I think it's irresponsible. I mean, if somebody debunks something, then you need to debunk the debunking and point to it, because at this point, I can't possibly know, as your average guy doing a talk show. There's no way for me to know what the gender pay gap is one way or the other. Now, I've worked in plenty of places where women have been my boss. I probably had more women as my boss than I've had men as my boss. So it's difficult for me to imagine that there's a gender pay gap, but let's say that there is. If that's the case, then you need to prove it. And if somebody debunks your proving of it, then you need to debunk the debunking, because that's all I can look at is stuff on the internet,
There
right?
would be 100% employment for women if there was a gender pay gap. It's just simple economics. I don't need proof. It's just common sense.
855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live. 855-450-3733.
This alert just came in. This special announcement is for business owners and leaders of organizations who've been waiting for the right time to build. General Steel has made it impossible to wait any longer with rock-bottom prices that could save you thousands. That's right, General Steel, America's leader in pre-engineered structures, is offering buildings at prices you will never see again. Don't miss these prices. A 50 by 100 for $35,000. You heard right. That's 5,000 square feet for $35,000. Manufacturers, if you need a larger building, try a 100 by 100 commercial building for $129,000. You can't afford to rent with these prices. Imagine a 70 by 100-foot church building for under $69,000. With the economy improving and interest rates still at historic lows, you can't afford to wait. So call 866-91-STEEL. Lock in your price now. Call 866-91-STEEL. That's 866-917-8335.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
This is Mark of Free Talk Live. We've been witnessing a meltdown of the economic engine that powers our country. With a printing press tethered to Washington bureaucrats and New York central bankers, how can we trust paper money? For years, I've been buying gold and silver from Midas Resources, and you should too. Call 877-357-9938 for a free book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, or go to gold.freetalklive.com. Again, 877-357-9938. 877-357-9938.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. You can help by joining the AMP program for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com and getting perks. That's amp.freetalklive.com.
You can interact with other LRN listeners in our message board at forum.lrn.fm. That's forum.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. It's 855-450-3733. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind on this live edition of Free Talk Live with Mark.
And Cantwell.
855-450-FREE. Well, Cantwell, I think we've kind of tapped out on this.
Yeah, we've run that scumbag into the ground enough, Edwin Lyngar. I'm glad to be done with him.
Yeah, it's that's kind of how I feel on it. So I want to tell you real quick about this. I find this kind of an interesting story here in the Keene area.
I'm going to go and take a bunch of clips of Mark saying interesting on Free Talk Live.
I say it too often.
Yeah, that's one of your crutches. I realize, like, as I edit the video from these, as some of you might know, I've been taking, the nights that I'm on Free Talk Live, I make YouTube clips out of some of the segments, and I realize that I say right, and I have all my stupid little crutches, and I realize I am a talentless radio personality. I really need to work on that.
Go listen to the talented radio personalities, and you'll see that they have all their crutches too. it's not that uncommon. Really, you can find them umming and ahhing, and Rush Limbaugh's got the like he just kind of fills in with noises. So yeah, I mean it's relatively common. Brattleboro, New Hampshire. Brattleboro is it's Vermont, and it's just across the New Hampshire line, and it is this sort of liberal mecca. It's what they're doing here from the Sentinel source, and this is my hometown.
And he
newspaper.
says Mecca like sarcastically. It's not a paradise. It's a lefty lunatic place.
Mecca doesn't mean paradise. It just means a place where people go.
Okay, all right, yeah, fair enough.
So, apparently they're weighing in on voting rights for 16 and 17-year-olds. Everyone who votes in today's elections in Brattleboro will be at least 18 years old. But that could change if voters pass a ballot measure to extend the right in town elections to vote to 16 and 17-year-olds. Supporters say pushing the voting age down 2 years would improve voter turnout, probably not, and bring the the right to vote in line with other privileges, such as a driver's license at age 16. It's part of a way of enlivening the electorate here. Kurt Danes, a Brattleboro resident who submitted the ballot item, said on Monday, "We want to propose it as a way to make the younger people grow in attachment to their town." Danes described restricting voting rights to people who are over 18 a violation of basic rights. Of course, I guess extending it to people over 16 is also a violation of basic rights,
right,
too.
let's just open it up to infants and be like, here, drop your pacifier on the box you want to vote for, kid. It's ridiculous. I hate this crap. We were up in Concord talking to the elections committee, and Ian and Daryl were all for this, for having the 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds rather be able to vote in the primaries if they were going to be able to vote in the general election. And I was like, no, the last thing I want is more irresponsible young people voting in the elections. These people have no concept of what it is to pay taxes. It makes me sick. And that's why these liberal psychopaths like it, because they want these irresponsible little brats with their snot noses to walk into these voting booths and vote for everything. They're like, oh, don't you think that it should be free? And the kid is like, I like free stuff. I'll vote for you, instead of voting for somebody who actually has a sound economic policy.
Well, I'm not sure age is necessarily the criteria by which that
but it's
comes
more significantly more likely. You don't find I don't know a whole bunch of real hardcore fiscal conservatives in high school, Mark.
If they if they're going to call it, like, there's this tenet, taxation without representation, that seems important to people.
It turns out taxation with representation ain't so hot neither, but go ahead.
Most of the taxes you pay as a worker at 16 or 17 years old, you're paying to the federal government, not to a town government.
Right, and you get it refunded anyway.
So I really gotta, I don't know that this is the place to start necessarily for 16 and 17-year-olds. If you're going to tax a 16-year-old, income tax on their paycheck or, FICA or whatever it is, maybe they should have a say in a federal election, not in a town election, where most of the taxes come from property taxes, and the likelihood that a 16-year-old owns property is pretty unlikely.
Yeah, go tax dad's land so that I can have free health care.
Let's go to Patrick calling in from Philly. Patrick, you're on Free Talk Live. Patrick, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello.
How you guys doing? Hello?
Yeah, what's on your mind?
Not much. I just wanted to comment on the recent CPAC straw poll. I guess that's a straw poll they have.
You're going to have to tell me about it. I don't pay much attention to anything that starts with the word conservative.
Okay. It's funny. I was on the Stefan Molyneux show a while ago, and I'm going to ask you guys the same question I asked him. Now, I don't know if this is a dangerous question to ask, but I still am a big libertarian Ron Paul supporter. And, I was kind of disenchanted when he lost in 2012. Now his son, Rand Paul, obviously you guys know who that is coming up in the ranks. Now, obviously, he is by no means an anarchist, and maybe not even real much of a libertarian. But for me, I look at him as at least a step in the right direction. Somebody, like, let's say you're a chronic smoker, and you go to your doctor, and he says, you need to quit smoking. Well, I can't stop right away. What if I cut down to, like, instead of 40 cigarettes, I have 30 cigarettes a day? And me being the doctor, I would go, well, I guess that's a better option.
I think that's clearly better.
Yeah. So, I know you guys are very, I am a very, non-governmental. I don't like tyranny and all that. But do you at least see Rand Paul as somewhat like, if you saw him win the presidency, would you raise an eyebrow and be like, wow, it's better than Hillary?
So here's my thoughts on that. And my thoughts are actually evolving in this field here, okay? So lately I've been going up to...
that's Chris Cantwell.
Yeah, so I have been really hostile towards... I mean, I've got articles up on my website about I will not vote and all elections are scams and yada, 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 and telling people don't perpetuate faith in the system and whatnot. Now, I've been going up to Concord and talking to the legislature and feel like, hey, there's actually some opportunity to make a difference here. I am sort of torn about the Rand Paul thing because what you're saying is obviously true, that Rand Paul is going to be a lot better than Hillary Clinton, right? Rand Paul is going to be a lot better than Jeb Bush or whatever other psychopath the Republican Party wants to put up there. So there's a certain temptation there. At the same time, as the nature of the propaganda that I put out, I am not anxious to put any stock in Rand Paul, because I am very anxious to get people to turn away from the political system and the federal government in particular. So it's a little bit mixed. You're obviously right. I mean, look, the guy's not going to be as bad as pretty much anybody else that might actually obtain the presidency, but he's still real bad, and I don't like people taking him seriously.
Okay.
I would, however, say that I'm not under any illusions that my vote matters for much. So what I'm going to do is in the Republican primary, I'm a elected Republican in the state of New Hampshire, so I can't vote in any other primary. It's got to be the Republican one. In the Republican primary, I will vote for the most liberty-oriented candidate that I can find, and I expect that to be Rand Paul. In the general election, I will also vote for the most liberty-oriented candidate I can find, and I'm not sure what that's going to be, who that's going to be today, but I would consider it to be a victory of sorts if Rand Paul were to take the White House over every other one of the scumbags I've heard trotted out on mainstream media up to this point.
Okay, so you'd sleep a little bit better.
I think he's a little bit better, and I think that if he gets elected and he goes into the White House and he throws us all under the bus, I think he'll do more to create anarchists than any other libertarian candidate ever did.
Well, I think that a liberty candidate. I don't know who Rand Paul is or how he's going to act in the White House, but I can say that that many people consider the president to be the most important office in the land, and basically everything that happens is either their fault or they get credit for it, when in fact it doesn't work that way. So if a libertarian, quote-unquote, takes the office, like Rand Paul, and things don't go well in the economy or whatever at that particular time, then it's going to be all libertarians' fault, and I don't think that that's a particularly valid thing. Patrick, you seem to have another question. Was that correct?
Yeah.
Hold on.
When the leading antihistamine and Nasacort go nose to nose, Nasacort wins, stopping more of the chemical responses that can cause your nasal allergy symptoms. And when you stop more causes, you get 24-hour relief from sneezing, an itchy runny nose, even congestion. It's prescription strength medicine available over the counter. Nasacort Allergy 24-hour. Stops more of what makes you miserable. Use as directed.
Do you drink coffee? Was the last cup of coffee you had really good? Free Talk Live has teamed up with BuzzBox to bring you the best of the best coffee. Shade-grown, organic, top 1% grade Arabica. But what's different is for every 10 people that get their coffee through coffee.freetalklive.com, we can give another microloan through Kiva. Get a free pound to try it out. A free pound of the best coffee. Help others one cup at a time. Coffee.freetalklive.com.
By now, you may have heard a bit about Bitcoins. But did you know Bitcoins are now over an $8.5 billion market? And did you know that over 65,000 businesses now accept Bitcoins? Listen, if you're already earning Bitcoins or trying to make money in the Bitcoin market, you've got to know BidBit.co. Why? Because BidBit.co is where you can easily receive Bitcoins by selling and auctioning off your own personal items or promote business products and services for Bitcoins. You heard right. Whether personal or business, you can now buy, sell, and auction auction your products and services quickly, easily, and securely for Bitcoin at bidbit.co, the first and only marketplace website to offer BidBit Escrow, a proprietary technology which gives buyers and sellers security and peace of mind because all transactions are protected. Start today. It's free to join, free to post, free to auction, and free to bid at bidbit.co. Buy, sell, bid, or auction everything Bitcoin. That's www.bidbit.co. bidbit.co.
Are you looking for an excuse to come check out New Hampshire this fall? You're invited to Keenvention. Keenvention is your chance to meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire. You can explore the beautiful little city of Keene, discuss various forms of activism with seasoned veterans, do some Robin Hooding, and learn about making the move. Keenvention received rave reviews last year. If you missed it, visit keenvention.info for full video coverage of every speaker and panel. This year's keynote speeches and panels will be announced via the Keenvention blog and Facebook, so stay tuned there for the latest. Join old and new friends and neighbors in Keene for Keenvention this October 30th through November 1st. Tickets are available now at a special super early bird price of just $40 via credit card or Bitcoin. That $40 price only lasts through early March, so don't delay. Reserve your tickets now at keenvention.info. Visit keenvention.info for more and look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, Mark at freetalklive.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. It's 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. And you can call in and talk about whatever you want. Or you can use Skype. It's the username is lrn.fm on Skype. And it's Mark with you.
And Cantwell.
855-450 free. So there's a project that's going on down in Chile right now. And I think it's worth checking out. What they're doing is they're building this this basically like a condominium or a building that looks like a ski resort. And instead of being like a vast valley full of estates, this is a place for liberty-oriented people can have just a little something, a little place to live in, a foreign country. Chile has been touted by many as a war-free place for Americans to go, and some people like it for that reason. And I think it's worth checking out. Now, there's only room for about 100 people there you go to fortgalt.com. So what you need to do is you need to check it out for yourself. It's down in southern Chile. And, a lot of people, with the way that the U.S. is going, they think the best choice for them is to get out of the country, or at the very least, to have some place to be able to bug out to. By the way, Chile, since it's in the southern hemisphere, it's summer when it's winter in New Hampshire. And winter.
That sounds mighty appealing at this point.
Right, no doubt about it. So go check them out, fortgalt.com. That's fortgalt.com. See what they've got going on. I was really impressed with their video. It kind of, they've got this, what they're intending to build. You have sort of fly through. It's really impressive. It's worth going to see the video, at, if nothing else, at fortgalt.com.
Who is that named after?
John Galt.
Who is John Galt?
That's your little joke.
I managed to work it in.
There you go.
So clever.
Go back to Patrick calling in from Philly. Patrick, you're back on Free Talk Live. What is your other question?
It's not most. Well, actually, my dinner is cooking on the stove. But actually, it's funny. I wanted to call in for one reason. Yes. And when I first heard about you guys, now just wait till I finish the end of this statement. I actually couldn't stand you guys. Chris Cantwell specifically. I thought you guys were psychopaths.
So should I remove your complaint off of my list of complaints about Cantwell at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, Chris, I tell you, Chris, I started out hating you, and then it got to the point where I started really coming around to you. And I just
was it on the show that you disliked him, or was it from his writings on his website at ChristopherCantwell.com?
I think, to be honest, it's I think the hardest thing to come around to, still kind of sticks in my craw, but is the talk about the police, and because my dad's a cop, and it's kind of hard to make that connection because it's so close to where I grow up with my family.
Gotcha.
But honestly, Chris, I just wanted to tell you, just keep doing what you're doing, man, because you are changing minds out there, and to all you guys, Ian, both of you, everybody, just keep doing what you're doing,
Well, thank you so much, buddy. And one of the things that I have liked about doing Free Talk Live is that I don't entirely break character, if you will, but I'm sort of moderated by the gentleman here, and the demand that I don't curse up a storm on Free Talk Live sort of helps soften the image a little bit and maybe convey a point a little more calmly. So I've been grateful for the opportunity, and thank you so much for not tuning out and for listening.
Now that the ring polishing is done, Patrick, what's on your mind?
Well, one more thing, and I think it's probably going to be about the same response. I saw the Netanyahu speech today. If you didn't see it, basically Netanyahu was there telling Congress, Iran, we got to bomb Iran. But Obama wasn't there, and a lot of Americans, I think, especially in Europe, they're starting to change their policy towards Israel. Now, could you see this change? Now, back in 2008, you always thought, we're always going to support Israel. But it seems to me that there is sort of a tide changing with this, slowly, maybe not even happening, but I'm noticing it. And it's kind of like one of those, it just seems like there's sort of a tectonic shift in the country. Maybe it's slow, maybe it will go back to the way it was, but I'm starting to notice some things with that, even foreign policy-wise. Do you guys see any of that, or...
Well, I did not see Netanyahu's speech today. I did see some headlines about it. I know that his thing has always been about Iran, bomb, Iran. But it's a thing that I don't think that the Obama administration has been particularly hostile towards Israel, but also not particularly supportive. It's not part of the rhetoric of the administration, so people aren't hearing it as much. I think that once you have a Republican presidential primary going on, you're going to have a bunch of guys clamoring to be the closest to Israel, and I think that that's going to really ramp that up again. And of course, I do not believe whoever gets the Republican primary in the 2016 presidential race is going to win the 2016 presidential election. I don't think they're going to put
another. You think it's going to be a Democrat again?
A Republican. I don't think for one second that America is going to elect another Democrat president.
Right. I think that mostly what you were seeing regarding the Israel loving had to do with a Republican sort of being in the White House. The Republicans basically, up to this point, they're very much Israel supporters, because if you don't support Israel, Jesus can't come back. And if Jesus doesn't come back, then we all don't get to go to heaven, or however the story goes. I'm not even exactly sure what it means or why. So I don't know what that is. I think that Israel can take care of itself in the Middle East, and it does not need the United States holding it back in whatever way that's going to happen. And they should be handling themselves and dealing with their own repercussions, because it's like a teenager who doesn't. If you let them, if they don't have any ramifications for their actions, then they can sort of get away with anything, and they never really sort of learn. So Israel needs to operate like a country. It needs to operate like, a country that's not particularly well liked where they are. And that way they'll have to change a lot of their policies rather than getting just support unhindered from the U.S. government. No U.S. taxpayer should be forced to fund either Israel or any other country. So I guess that's what my point on that would be.
But I do believe that, once the Republicans have the power again, that you're going to see that. I don't think that they're particularly hammering it home. I mean, now they have the House and the Senate, so they could, if they wanted to, be, hammering home about Israel. But they're not swinging the foreign policy hammer while they've got a Democrat in the White House. Once they get back to that, I do believe that you'll probably see it. And believe me, once our largely Christian friends start seeing their Republicans start screaming about Israel, they'll start screaming about it too. And this is not going to be a good thing for anybody.
It's incredible how many people out there who listen to the biased media like MSNBC or Fox News and that sort of thing. When they hear the talking heads yammering on about something, they feel, oh yeah, now's the time for me to share these points with my friends. It's ridiculous.
Well, I'm as guilty about that as anybody. I mean, when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, what are all the talking heads talking about? I guess that's what I'm going to write about today. I mean, we do the same thing on Free Talk Live to a large extent. We're like, what are the headlines?
Yeah.
That's the show prep, and it's a pervasive thing that these people set the tone for the entire country, even amongst libertarians, and it's very, very terribly off-putting.
Patrick?
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and you guys have a good night, all right?
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks for the call. 855-450-FREE.
I'm changing hearts and minds, Mark.
That's 855-450-3733. Let's go to Matt, calling in northern Minnesota. Matt, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, so I have a few things to tell you because I've actually lived in Honduras, and the roads, I was down there in 95, and the roads down there are fantastic because when Ronald Reagan had the Contras fighting the Sandinistas, he made an agreement with the Honduran government. If he could make the roads nice, they could be stationed in Honduras so they could go in and attack in Nicaragua. That's one thing. The roads are great, and every shop owner does have a pistol in their pocket, and on every corner of every block, there's a federal officer with a machine gun. And when me and my girlfriend walked out of the grocery store, we were escorted to our car with a machine gun and a shotgun. And it was pretty scary down there. I didn't realize at the time I have an eye problem, so I have to wear sunglasses. And the thing I realized after I left there or getting ready to leave, the only people that wear sunglasses down there is the local mafia, so nobody bothered me. And then I read a book. It's called The People's History of the United States of America by Howard Zinn, Z-I-N-N. Yeah. And that might make you guys take a second look at how you feel politically. But this country has always been run by a few rich capitalists, a few power-attaining politicians in the military.
What country hasn't been run by rich people?
Right. But capitalism is not working.
Well, it depends on what you define capitalism as, because capitalism hasn't exactly existed. Matt, I want to talk to you some more.
Yeah, let's talk about capitalism.
I think that rather than trying to finish this up in a couple of seconds, we need a little more time. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Shiny badges on your jacket. Shiny badges.
This is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and I just want to personally apologize for airing a jingle week after week, month after month, that turned out to be such an infectious brainworm. So to make it up to you, I'm offering a free gift. The next time you make a purchase at ShinyBadges.com, write worms in the transaction comments, and I'll send you something weird.
In a trial by jury, the primary function of a juror is not to dispense punishment to the accused. It is to protect your fellow citizens from being unjustly deprived of their life, liberty, or property. As a juror, you can say no to unjust laws and prevent government abuses of power by refusing to convict. Legislative, executive, judicial. The fourth branch of government is we the people. Find out more from the Fully Informed Jury Association at fija.org.
If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting bloc and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2015. Silver is trading at $16.56 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,210 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $269. Antiwar.com reports with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowing to do anything to prevent a U.S.-Iran nuclear deal. State Department spokeswoman Marie Harf yesterday warned him against leaking the details of any classified briefing. We've continuously provided detailed classified briefings to the Israeli officials to keep them updated, Harf said, adding that any release by Netanyahu would of course betray that trust. Secretary of State John Kerry also chimed in, warning Israel against doing anything to undercut the Iran negotiations, which just resumed on Monday in Switzerland. Netanyahu has insisted he has a moral obligation to warn Congress about the deal, saying it threatens Israel's survival. The White House has insisted that Netanyahu has refused to offer an alternative to negotiations. In Survivor Max by Davi Barker, 11-year-old Max must survive the zombie apocalypse alone in New Hampshire. Slow-moving and non-thinking, the lame brains swarm his home searching for living flesh. Max must apply his Porcupine Freedom Scouts training to plan his escape, but first he must prove that he's too smart to die. Look for Survivor Max on Facebook and Amazon, or read Chapter 1 free at survivormax.com. UPI reports a new study by researchers at the University of North Carolina has revealed just how incredibly easy it is for teenagers to procure electronic cigarettes online. Researchers found that just 5 out of 98 attempts by teenagers to purchase e-cigarettes from online retailers were thwarted by an age verification mechanism. Rebecca S. Williams, the study's lead investigator and a researcher at North Carolina's Lindbergh Comprehensive Cancer Center, said in a press release, very few online vendors even gave the appearance of trying to comply with North Carolina's e-cigarette age verification law. The study allowed teenagers to use false birthdays and check various boxes to disguise their identity during purchase attempts. Of the 98 attempts, 18 failed as a result of glitches and web design flaws unrelated to the vendor's age verification. That means 80 orders were successful, giving teens a 93.7% chance of procuring e-cigarettes. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson apologized on Monday to the family of a 12-year-old boy whose city lawyers blamed in part for his own fatal shooting by police responding to a report of an armed person in a park last November. The language used in the city's response to a lawsuit brought by the family of Tamir Rice was very insensitive, and an amended court document will be filed within 20 days that preserves the city's rights, Jackson told a news conference. The court filing asserted as a defense for the city that Rice's injuries, losses, and damages complained of were directly and proximately caused by the failure of plaintiffs destined to exercise due care to avoid injury. Jackson said he was apologizing to Rice's family and to the city's residents for what he said was a poor choice of words in the city's response filed on Friday to the family's lawsuit. Jackson said, in an attempt to protect all our defenses, we used words and we phrased things in such a way that was very insensitive to the tragedy in general, the family, and the victim in particular. An attorney for the Rice family, Benjamin Crump, on Monday criticized the city's response to the federal lawsuit. Crump said on CNN, "I don't want him just to apologize for the poor word use. I want him to apologize for the death of this 12-year-old child." Rice's shooting came at a time of heightened scrutiny over the use of force by police around the United States, including in Cleveland. Rice was holding a replica handgun that mainly shoots plastic pellets when he was shot by a Cleveland officer within seconds of police responding to a report of a suspected brandishing of a handgun in the city park. Tamir Rice died the next day. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A dying Chevron executive is excited to one day become oil. A man wearing red glasses and pink pants is probably Dutch or something, and the report of a popular fish's death is starting to get around the tank.
This is the Onion Week in Review. The nation was once again wowed this week by the feats of very strong little boy Michael Sartinsky, who, after removing his t-shirt to better display his impressive physique, deadlifted an entire frozen turkey over his head and held it aloft for 3 full seconds. The latest demonstration of the pint-sized muscle man's almost inhuman abilities comes on the heels of multiple accomplishments involving incredible displays of speed, strength, and endurance. Over the past 4 months alone, Sartinsky cleared the 3-foot chasm between his brother's bed and his own, beat his fully grown Uncle Scott in a foot race, and threw a tennis ball clear onto the roof of his 2-story house.
Pound for pound, I honestly don't think there's a stronger boy on earth. Have you felt his muscles? They're like solid rocks.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. It's 855-450-3733. You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
And Cantwell.
The show's just flown by this evening, Cantwell. People can go and find archives of Free Talk Live for free at archives.freetalklive.com. We've got, I don't know, something like 10 years worth of archives for free there that you can go get.
And not a drunk episode in one of them.
No.
I can't believe it. We're going to have to do that.
We would not do that on Free Talk Live. We would not go on the air after having drank something.
Why don't I bring a bottle of whiskey over next time?
No,
we'll get
no,
loaded on Free Talk Live. Just you and me, Mark. We'll get wasted and slur our words on 150 broadcast stations across the United States.
Let's go back to Matt. He was, I think we're parsing out terms like capitalism. So, Matt, you're back on Free Talk Live.
Yes, and please don't cut me off before I get done with everything. I haven't been able to call in hardly at all. And
it depends on how long everything is, pal.
Well, yeah, but I think it's important that we be able to sort of talk about things as they're talked about. I mean, you're not going to get cut off. Consider that you've been held through, and that's a pretty rare circumstance for a caller in the first place. So you'll get plenty of time.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, you were asking what I thought capitalism was. Is that
Sure.
what you want my opinion on?
Well, I think what we need to do, if you're going to have a conversation, you need to have a foundation of definitions. So if you and I don't agree on what capitalism is, we can't agree whether or not capitalism is good, right?
Well, we don't have to agree to have a discussion between what it is and what it isn't. But
have a meaningful discussion.
Go
ahead.
Okay. What I think capitalism basically is enough. It's the rich, the power-attaining politician, the military are giving the general populace just enough bone, enough hope to keep them working so they won't go turn socialist like the country was turning back in the 1930s and throughout history. And that's why they created just enough of a middle class to give people enough hope. And That's basically what the super rich and JFK went against that. He was going against all that. He was going against the Illuminati, the cabal, the world powers that be. Even George Washington, when he would let the poor people out in Ohio, do their own whiskey, and he took the federal government. And
that was in Pittsburgh. George Washington sent a rebellion, or sent a military led by Henry Lighthorse Lee against the people who were not wanting to pay taxes on whiskey. I guess what I would say here is that it sounds like you believe that the economy is controlled very heavily by a small amount of rich people. Is that right?
And politicians, military, industrial complex, creating wars to keep the economy going.
There were lots of wars during the Progressive era, from the 1890 on through 1940. Lots
That's all capitalism too.
I mean,
right?
FDR was planning on invading Canada, for God's sake.
Oh yeah, I agree. There's really no difference between the Republicans and Democrats anymore. And there always has been kind of when people give donations, they give to both parties. That way, they're not going to lose either way, and so they have all their bases covered.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Appreciate it. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. To me, what capitalism I guess capitalism to me is to religion is to atheism, right? Like capitalism isn't a system, an economic system. It is the lack of an economic system. It is what happens in a free market.
It's so frustrating to deal with this anti-capitalist stuff because what this guy just described was capitalism is a government-run economy. I mean, this is what the guy just told us,
and which is not by my definition.
What
a dictionary definition.
I'd love to have talked to him for an hour and figure out what he thinks about socialism and communism and everything else. I mean, what are these things then, right? I mean, capitalism at the end of the day is really the accumulation of capital, the acquisition of wealth, and then the use of that wealth to sort of make more wealth, I think.
But wasn't the term created by socialists? Wasn't it used thoroughly?
The term capitalism was coined by Marx, if I recall correctly. And I mean, his whole thing was basically that rich people oppress poor people, right?
And so for that very reason, I wouldn't even use the term to describe myself or my belief system because it was created by somebody I would consider to be on the other side.
Well, but the thing is, and yes, I mean, when we let them control the language, then things get kind of screwed up,
right?
Of course.
So, but this is why there's the confusion.
He was just calling reality. He was basically, capitalism was just a term that he made up to demonize economics, right? He's saying, well, when economics happen, then bad things occur. So we're going to have the state change every economic law known to man, and that's just going to work out wonderfully, and then millions of people wind up dead.
Right, and I'm on board with that completely, but I don't think he even defined it properly in the sense that he gave it a fair shake, and that's the term capitalism can't get a fair shake, is what I'm saying, is because it has a history of essentially being a demonized term. And it's the reason I don't use the term capitalist to describe myself, even though I believe generally in the ideas of capitalism. I prefer to use the term free market because it's hard for people to demonize the term free market.
But people are destroying the term free market every day. And as a matter of fact, this is
it's not as destroyed as the term capitalism.
No, but they're now the free market now. I was reading a book called about free market anti-capitalism. It's complete nonsense. It's crazy. The idea that they're getting at in this is basically that rich people are evil and the free market is going to prevent people from getting rich. Now, that's sick. That's ridiculous. So I do think that the word capitalism is important. You have to sort of put that back in the discussion because if you just talk about, well, a free market and then people think they're all going to be equal, that's a terrible, terrible philosophy to spread.
Well, I think I may believe that, actually. So rich is a relative term. It is not an absolute term because it has to be compared against other people. Right. I do believe that free markets are likely to create situations where fewer people are able to use the machinations of the state in order to make themselves more wealthy than other people. So therefore, I suspect you'll have probably more smaller businesses, and therefore there will be a leveling. There will be a much larger middle class, as it were, than there will be, a disparity between rich and poor. So I can't disagree with that terminology. I do understand how you can say some of the left libertarians, how you can feel about some of the left libertarians and their rhetoric. But to me, what they're valuable for is essentially appealing to people who already believe that crap, rather than convincing people who don't believe that crap to believe that crap.
Yeah, but I think that the people who believe that crap are incredibly destructive to what we're trying to do here. I'll take the conspiracy theorists and racists over them any day of the week.
Oh, God. Let's go to Chris. Chris, you're in Free Talk Live.
I sure am.
You're
hey
Christopher.
Guys, this is Chris from Police State of Connecticut. I just got really irritated and had to call in. It's been a while, but when that last guy called this country capitalist or free market, it really grinds my gears. We live in, obviously, a socialist country, right?
Well, I would say that I like Harvard University
put up taxes, and we have public schools, and we have public police forces, right? We have income taxes that get redistributed or directly stolen. But redistributed. We live in a socialist country.
Well, it depends on how you parse terms. I agree with you. This is a socialist country. However, there are people that believe in socialism that would disagree.
I'll even say national socialist country, but that's for another day. Carry on, Mark. Sorry.
Yeah. There are people that believe these terms. You have to sort of define the terms, right? To me, socialism means the forced redistribution of wealth.
I didn't really care about defining the terms for a bedrock argument.
But I did use that as a, that's where I stand. Is that if we're going to have a discussion, we're going to define terms before we have a discussion, because there's nothing more irritating than standing around disagreeing with somebody who you actually agree with because we have different definitions of something. So,
and that's why I listen to Free Talk Live, Mark, because you guys define those bedrock terms and have substantive arguments that actually progress somewhere.
That's what I try to do.
Yep.
Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. 855-450-FREE. It's 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live. Call in with your substantive argument. Free Talk Live.
Redefining of terms.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Gold. It's like nothing else on Earth. From the Romans through the Renaissance, from the Industrial Age to the Space Age, gold has weathered the test of time. For 6,000 years, gold has remained the ultimate store of wealth. According to the World Gold Council and the U.S. Mint, demand is at an all-time high. The stage is being set for the reemergence of gold as the common-sense alternative to a fiat paper currency that gets weaker every day. Midas Resources is proud to offer the hard-hitting report that arms you with the truth you need to protect you and your family from the Fed's plans for your hard-earned money. Don't gamble with your future. Call Midas Resources today and ask for your free copy of As Good as Gold. Call 1-800-686-2237 for the report the Fed hopes you'll never see. As Good as Gold can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. If you have ever thought about owning gold, you must read this report. Call Midas today at 800-686-2237.
People are saying it could be a baby bump. Our senior celebrity correspondent, Tyler, is here. Tyler, you always have the inside dish. What's the deal?
She looks like she got fat, so she might have a baby in her tummy.
Oh? What else have you heard?
I heard she has a boyfriend, and they have sex.
That's right. You know, the Hollywood couple vacationed in Rome together just 2 months ago.
They had a big hotel room, and I can tell you what they did in it.
Spill it, Tyler.
He put his penis in her vagina.
Hot. She is one lucky gal.
And she's going crazy.
Uh-oh, is stardom starting to wear on Emma?
Yeah, she's crazy and dumb. She put a carrot in her vagina.
Whoa, do tell.
Yeah, she said, oh, this carrot's like my boyfriend's penis. I'm gonna rub it all over my vagina. I'm so gross. Then she ate it like Bugs Bunny.
What a hot mess. Hey, Emma, get it together, girl. Tyler, you are breaking news as always.
This is the Onion News Network.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but we'll hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind here on Free Talk Live with Mark.
And Cantwell.
You can call us on Skype using lrn.fm. That is our username. You just send us a friend request or whatever, contact request, I believe it's called, and then we'll approve it, and you can call in about whatever's on your mind. So in the last segment, I think that this is one of these sort of really difficult perennial issues, is the argument, the debate as to whether or not to use terms capitalism, the confusion over the term capitalism. Like, there's this term out there that I believe you use to describe yourself, Cantwell.
Anarcho-capitalist.
And I think that it's kind of like calling yourself a pedophile because you like kids. I mean, because that's what the definition of pedophile is. If you look at it, it means kid lover. And just saying that's my problem with this terminology. It takes two of the most vilified terms in the English language.
But isn't very specifically a sexual term? That is not just an I sort of enjoy this. No, Daryl?
What is an audiophile?
Someone who has a sexual obsession with sound.
No, sorry about that.
I think that I always assumed that they were saying audiophile as a term to like sort of overplay their obsession with the audio. No?
But maybe that's the case. I wouldn't be able to tell you whether, but it's certainly, file has been used in many sort of criminal ways to describe people sort of criminally. There's no doubt about it, but this also gets used just to, philia, means lover. So, I think that I just refuse to use terminology like that. I like to.
But you know how destructive that is, that you let them have the words, you just hand the language over to the communists. I don't appreciate that. That's crazy. You have to do something about this.
No.
If you just let them have the term capitalism and you just let them run around with their anti-capitalist rhetoric talking about all this rich people are evil nonsense, right? You're just letting them run around with that.
Oh, I don't let them run around with rich people are evil. I just am willing to have a conversation based on the definitions that a person wants to use at any sort of given time. Rather than trying to, argue, I'm happy to make the argument for the term capitalist if somebody says, Mark, what do you think about the term capitalist? I'm willing to say that because I think that, okay, but I think that capitalists lost a long time ago when they allowed the terminology to describe themselves to be one that was created by a bunch of socialists in the first place. That's why I like the term free market, and that's why I like the term voluntarist. A voluntarist, mostly people don't know what the term is, so I can therefore define it to them and say somebody who they don't believe that I believe that action should be voluntary and not coerced.
Yeah, I'm sick of voluntarist. I started to use it. I don't use it anymore. I throw the anarcho-capitalist thing right in their faces now. I don't have any sympathy for this crap anymore.
You do kind of do the in-your-face thing, though.
Yeah.
And, I'm here to convince folks. That's what I'm trying to do. So let's go to Aaron in New Mexico. Aaron, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, Mark. It's great to listen to you guys, and I think that you're having a really constructive conversation out there. And I think especially the fact that you want to discuss, how we define terms is incredibly important because, as the caller who preceded me was defining this as a socialist country, it really depends on how you define it. I consider myself an anarchist, but I also consider socialism to be more along the lines of, I guess, the communist terms of the workers actually owning the means of production, not this sort of Leninist totalitarian nonsense that we've allowed to run our country and, for the most part, Europe at this point, too.
So when you say
when did socialism not involve a tyrannical Leninist government controlling everything?
Well, there are multiple different thinkers. Most of them are Marxists, such as Rosa Luxemburg, who their idea is that the workers come to this understanding that they should be owning the means of the production that is coming out of their hands, basically. Like, I should, if I'm working to build chairs or whatnot, I should be reaping the pure benefits of that.
So I would I'd have the same conversation with you that I'm having with Cantwell here. So I would say that by and large, the definition of socialism is state ownership, not worker, state ownership of the means of production, right? Would you say that that's how most people have heard it defined?
I think that's a conception that's been pushed, but I personally don't agree with
So what I'm going to say to you is, know when you've lost and cut your losses and move on. Use terminology like a co-op to describe what it is that you're referring to, which is what it is. You're referring to what is commonly called a co-op, where people, where the workers own the business and they work together and they share the profits and they do all this stuff in conjunction. Use the term co-op, drop the term socialist because it's of no value to it, and then go ahead and let everybody pound the drum of against socialism when that's not what you believe.
I think that's a really good way of looking at it, Mark.
And I'm going to go ahead and chime in here and say that just because you jumble your words around and you create word salad out of your crazy economic ideas, that it doesn't change the reality of it. The way a factory gets built is that someone saves up a whole lot of money. Somebody did something to gain a whole lot of money and hired a bunch of people to build a factory. And the guy who paid to build the factory now owns the factory. Sorry to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there's your means of production, and that guy owns it rightfully.
There are some very successful co-ops out there, including some large insurance company. I believe New York Life is a co-op.
So there's an insurance company.
It just depends on your industry. Sometimes it's a good idea, sometimes it's not. Aaron?
Yeah.
Thanks for the call. 855-450-FREE. I'm not here to make a value assessment on whether or not co-ops work or not.
Do it. Make a value assessment on whether or not co-ops work. Do it.
I would not bother wasting my time with one, but no, with a co-op. So that's my value assessment. I've seen co-ops in the form of a restaurant here that didn't do so well, but I do believe people can make them work. The problem is it's really about the people you have. Essentially, I have a partnership with Ian Freeman, the normal first chair host here, and that's a co-op of sorts. It's that two people choose to cooperate together in order to do a business. And the more people that you have running a business, the longer you're going to spend time thinking about things. That makes things tough. And so that makes you less fluid. But if you live in a place where, for instance, there's a bunch of hippie folks, maybe you can market yourself as a co-op restaurant and have some success. But I can tell you, I've met a lot of leftists that worked at that co-op restaurant that weren't very impressed with co-ops and how they operated, because they felt like they were dealing with, basically they felt like lazy people got away with not working while they worked very hard.
Oh, you don't say.
So
left-wing economics is producing lazy people? That's shocking. I can't believe that happened. I guess we got to get younger voters in here, and they'll straighten it out.
Yeah, that's that story out of Vermont with the 16 and 17-year-old voters. I think it's a fascinating idea, but so far you can't get the 18 to 21-year-olds to vote. What about them? 855-450-FREE. It's 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
By now, you may have heard a bit about Bitcoins. But did you know Bitcoins are now over an $8.5 billion market? And did you know that over 65,000 businesses now accept Bitcoins? Listen, if you're already earning Bitcoins or trying to make money in the Bitcoin market, you've got to know BidBit.co. Why? Because BidBit.co is where you can easily receive Bitcoins by selling and auctioning off your own personal items or quote business products and services for Bitcoins. You heard right. Whether personal or business, you can now buy, sell, and auction your products and services quickly, easily, and securely for Bitcoin at BidBit.co, the first and only marketplace website to offer BidBit Escrow, a proprietary technology which gives buyers and sellers security and peace of mind because all transactions are protected. Start today. It's free to join, free to post, free to auction, and free to bid at BidBit.co. Buy, sell, bid, or auction everything Bitcoin. That's www.bidbit.co. BidBit.co.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. From demonstrations and vigils to outreach and volunteering, there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateurs, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, 855 450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. You can call in and talk about, well, whatever you want here on Free Talk Live. Well, I guess there's FCC rules on what you can talk about and what you can't, but...
Yeah, I released a YouTube clip of us hanging up on a caller, and the title of the video is, "You can't curse on Free Talk Live." I think especially people who read my stuff, they're like, "Oh, it's Cantwell. I can say whatever I want." And I'm like, "No, we're on the radio, pal."
Yeah, I think a lot of people... Free Talk Live is a very well-listened-to podcast. We've got more than 12 million downloads of our podcast, and... you know, people listen to podcasts, they think it's a podcast, and they don't really think of it as a nationally syndicated radio program airing on more than 150 radio stations that all have their licenses depending on you not saying a large variety of words. Yeah. And, well, actually, it's a small variety of words, but... And then beyond that, you need to consider that Free Talk Live is on news talk stations, is what it's termed as. But, you know, there's stations, talk stations, where they talk about the issues, generally called news. And that means that they probably have for themselves a set of guidelines that even go above and beyond not saying a set of words that George Carlin made up at one point.
Right. You get to talking about a rubber girlfriend, somebody might make a phone call.
Yeah, right. That's certainly the case has happened. So, you know, there's these rules that even go beyond that. So, for instance, as I understand it, you can say GD on, you know, like if you listen to rap music or, you know, rock and roll music even, you'll hear a lot of words that go on music stations that don't go on talk stations. And I don't know.
Ian got on the dump button when I said GD once. Yeah. I was surprised by that.
We don't use GD, we don't use a-hole, we don't use a variety of things. And I think that there's good stuff that can be, you know, fit in, you know, in those sorts of instances. Instead, you can just say, instead of a-hole, you can say jackhole. I think that's kind of a funny one. But, you know, you just...
Frack.
Frack. Yeah, it's an old one. That's from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, did you watch that?
Yeah, I've seen the old ones, and I think it's
awful. They would say it all the time, and it's like, please, just stop with this already.
Oh, I thought that was good social commentary using that word. I felt like it's like, look how stupid the censors are. We could just make up another word that begins with the same letter and ends with the same letter. We use it exactly the same, and you know, they'll say frack, they'll say fracking. I've never heard them say mother fracker, but
I think they did many times actually.
I didn't, you know, I was young.
Mother fracker.
But for some reason,
whenever there's some like spaceship bad thing happens, and
it was okay for me to watch that as a 9-year-old kid, but it wasn't okay for me to hear the other word. It's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, but
it is. It's so crazy.
You know, that's what we deal with.
Speaking of TV, you know, I figured it out. I'm going to get all the audience members who started to like me on here. I figured out how I'm going to get them to hate me. I'll give out a whole bunch of House of Cards spoilers right now.
Oh, God.
Do you watch House of Cards?
Well, no, but I've decided I'm going to start.
Oh, yeah. I just watched the 3rd season. It came out on Netflix.
I had intended to watch it when it first came out, and it's just, I don't watch much television, so, you know, I just don't get to these things. But obviously it's got Kevin Spacey in it, so it's going to be fantastic. And it's about, you know, corruption in Washington, D.C., which, of course, is something that's important to me. Why wouldn't I watch this? I did see Alpha House, I think is what it's called. That's with John Goodman, and there's some other actors that play 4 senators living in the same house, 4 Republican senators, and they just, you know, it just sort of spoofs senatorial life, and I think that's well worth seeing. Plus, I must say, I'm a gigantic John Goodman fan, at least as big as I can be for an actor. I don't really particularly care much for actors and actresses and that sort of thing, but I feel like because of his size and weight, he doesn't get the acclaim that he deserves. So...
Yeah, I don't do a whole lot of, like, I don't even have a cable television subscription at my house. I just have the internet, and of course, but I do have the Netflix subscription, and House of Cards is one of the things that I watch, and the 3rd season of that just got released. And when Netflix does an original series, I mean, they release the entire season all at once, so you get to just like watch the entire thing in a marathon as opposed to waiting for it every week, like I'm gonna have to do with Game of Thrones next month, and it's gonna make me want to eat my gun because I have to wait until the next episode.
Have you seen Vikings?
Vikings? No.
Yeah, I'm recommending this. 2 seasons are out so far. They're just starting the 3rd season.
Daryl's giving me the thumbs up.
Lots of, swords flashing around, and it's really pretty awesome. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Another one that I like, Downton Abbey. Have you seen this?
No.
Okay, so... Like Downton Abbey, totally worth seeing. I don't care what your age, gender, or whatever. It's incredibly well acted. It's a soap opera, so you have to sort of suspend disbelief that so many things bad things could happen to one family. But the acting and period piece aspect of it are top notch.
Oh yeah, I have no problem, suspending disbelief. I watched. Here's a really corny thing that I'll admit to on the air. I watched Once Upon a Time. You ever hear about that?
No, is it a movie?
It's like it was a series that was on. I think it was on NBC or something like that, but it was on Netflix. I ended up watching it, and it was all like fairy tale characters involved in like this real life drama, like that they got sucked out. There was a curse that sent them into the real world. That the Wicked Witch was going to curse all like Snow White and all her friends and the dwarfs, and said, "You're going to go to a place where there's no happiness," and they ended up in modern day America. Which I thought was kind of just a cool scheme, but then they're going back and forth and trying to figure out how they ended up in this strange place. It was fascinating.
Well, I think that's the
but it was like a corny like love story thing too. It was just all cheesy. It was like a really I think it was like geared towards chicks and stuff, and I ended up watching like the entire thing. It was like 5 seasons of it. I watched it in Netflix in rapid succession. It was so cheesy.
Well, whoever it's aimed at, it doesn't particularly matter to me if it's well done. For instance, I've watched every episode of Glee, and that stuff. Okay, admittedly, it's hard to be a straight male and like musicals, and I do. But I don't think that there's not many people that watch Glee that don't enjoy it. It's just really well done.
Yeah, I've never seen it to pass any judgment on it.
Once again, I'm going to go ahead and
I've got to maintain my heterosexual white male stereotype.
You are single, and whereas I am not, so I don't have to defend anything. But when I was not single, I also went to musicals and had a cat. So do you think that there's having the cat being male and having a cat is any sort of...
No, cats are a great way to get laid, dude. You're like, here, pet my pet, and you just, cats, dogs, anything. I mean, dogs, you should see, like, Ian brings Jazzy down to, like, the college, and we go cop blocking down there, and women just run up and want to pet the dog immediately. Jazzy's a chick magnet.
Yeah, well, Jazzy's a particularly good dog, too.
Right. So, I mean, cats are not necessarily as much fun to walk around and stuff like that, but chicks come in, and they're like, oh, you have a cat, and then you're like, look at how much I love my cat, and then, they're like, oh, he loves animals. That means that he's going to pet me, right?
If you take your cat for a walk, basically you're just dragging it on a rope. Maybe that's what it comes down to.
Which is what exactly I want to do to cats most of the time. Not a big fan of those things. They get my eyes itchy.
I am of the opinion that a cat is the most male of pets. Here's the reason.
What?
Yep, here's the reason. So if you're just taking the cat-dog argument, dogs need to be let out and fed regularly, almost like children. It's that a dog is really a good pet for somebody who is preparing to raise kids and wants to see what the responsibility of caring for somebody. A cat, on the other hand, you fill its bowl full of dry, crunchy cat food, and when the bowl becomes empty days later, you fill it again. You empty out its litter box, unless it's an outdoor cat and likes to go outside, in which case you don't even have to worry about that. If you want to go for 3 days and you've got a cat, you go for 3 days and make sure there's enough food for the cat. If you got a dog, you got to take the dog with you or get a dog sitter or something like that.
Right.
So you have neither the care of letting the animal out on all those regular basis, or you don't have the care of where you go. So that's, this is...
So what? So dogs are not good pets for men because men are irresponsible, you dirty misandrist? What are you doing? You're bashing your own gender? I can't stand this, Mark. We're going to... I'm not letting you go on this one.
I've been male all my life, and I got to say, for me, having a cat was a lot better than having a dog.
All right. Well, you enjoyed it. I'm glad you did.
I had to keep my mom's dog, Schnauzer.
Testosterone doesn't mean that I can't be responsible and take care of a pet.
Look, I took care of my mom's dog, Sugar Butt, and I did it very well.
Yeah, it sounds like you did.
855-450 free.
You hear that, kid? That's the hum of a well-run facility. You know what I hate hearing? Silence. Silence on a production line means downtime. Downtime means wasted time. Wasted time means wasted money. Silence isn't golden, kid. It's deadly. That's why I love Grainger. With a wide variety of the latest products, Grainger gets us what we need when we need it to help keep this place up and running and humming away. Get it? Got it? Good. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
We all know that Berkey water purification systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey water filtration systems. The Berkey Light systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
The warning signs.
At first, he made me feel special. He promised he'd look after me, provide for my future. He broke every promise he made.
Millions of Americans afflicted.
I was ready to leave, but he told me he'd change. So I gave him another chance. I was such a fool.
The consequences.
Things only got worse. He started making my decisions for me about my job, my kids' education, my money, my safety, my future. He took away my choices, but I kept going back to the same politicians.
The diagnosis? Battered voter syndrome.
I fell for the same old lies. They were just playing with my emotions, telling me what I wanted to hear. That's not right.
Stop the insanity of voting for the same old abusers. Declare your independence from the two-party system and join the New Hampshire Liberty Party today at nhliberty.info. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate, well, I know a guy who's really great. It's the realtor Mark Warden. Do you want a home with 20 acres, a lakeside cabin, any takers for renters, buyers, and sellers too? Mark Warden is the guy for you. PorcupineRealEstate.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind, and we might still be able to squeeze you in. By the looks of it, the phone lines, the Skype lines, empty.
Well, that's good. They're enthralled by our conversation about dogs and male irresponsibility, and they want to hear you get owned.
And also about TV shows and things like that.
TV shows, yeah, that's right. We were talking about all that.
Well, I can tell
capitalism, socialism. TV.
The easiest way to go about getting some Bitcoins is by going to expresscoin.com.
There's a slight change of topic.
Because I'm doing my best. Litecoins, Dogecoins, they've got all kinds of cryptocurrencies over there. It's fast, safe, easy, and inexpensive. They're a licensed money services business. You can do business with them if you're in the U.S. or Canada. Just send a money order or a check. They can make it that easy for you. You just start off at expresscoin.com. You can even do it from your smartphone by downloading the app. It's expresscoin.com. Use coupon code FTL. Get up to $40 worth of your cryptocurrency at no fee at all by using the coupon code FTL at expresscoin.com. Expresscoin.com. So
it's pretty good. You get them $40 with no fee.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
You know, getting a little trouble about having talked about television in the last segment's really funny. But the last couple times I've tuned in to Glenn Beck, the guy's reviewing movies and talking about TV shows and stuff like that. I think that, you know, I mean, how else are you going to sort of spread the idea of this show or that show that you like? I don't think they're particularly.
I was thinking about actually like getting cable TV again. I think Time Warner Cable said I could get TV. I could get a cable box for like an extra $10 a month, and then I could sort of be plugged into what all the morons are talking about, right? I mean,
well, likely that price will go up over time.
Right.
That would be an introductory price, so I would encourage you to look at the fine print on that. But you know, I mean, if it's $10 and you want to spend the money on it, then it might.
Because I canceled my television subscription in like probably 2009. Like I haven't had cable TV in my house since 2009. I have not watched regular television almost at all in like 6 years now.
I think it's been a couple of years since we went with the Amazon Prime. For $8 a month, we get you know, lots and lots of television shows. The one thing that sort of really changed about our lives, but we were never willing to pay too much for the sports packages, is that my wife used to like live sports. I almost never watch live sports. I like the Super Bowl for the commercials, but frankly, I can watch the commercials the day after, and I'm usually on the air anyhow. So,
like, I was thinking about trying. I've never been into watching live sports. I mean, we do the Super Bowl party just as an excuse to drink and have people over, but like, I've never really been into watching sports on television. Played a little bit as a kid, then I got into drugs, and I was like, screw this, right? But then I never really watched it. But I wanted to like find like other things to talk to normal people about. Like I'm just talking about libertarianism all day and horrible things in the news, and I'm like, this is not a way to make friends, you know. So I was thinking about trying to do that, just going and like, all right, I'm gonna go force myself to, I don't know, watch some basketball games or something, and then I can go, or baseball or whatever, you know, whatever the season happens to be. And then you can like go to a bar and be like, hey, did you hear about so-and-so ran this many yards? Ha ha ha, I know that really matters to you. Now let me change the subject.
Yeah, I'm not a big sports fan either, so I don't have a lot of.
But I've been trying to do like maybe a little pop culture, right? So I got the House of Cards thing, you know, which is still like political. It's a nice, like, I don't know, crossover for me that like people who aren't into politics maybe watch House of Cards because it's fascinating and interesting to watch. I do the Game of Thrones thing. I need to get up more on like the things that people are watching. I see like the award shows like trending on Twitter, and I'm like, I should be watching that so I can talk to people about it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
No,
I'm just not going to do it. I don't care.
You just don't care.
If somebody wants to call in and talk about what color if the dress is gold or white or blue and black, I'm willing to talk to you about it. Have you seen this meme that's going on the internet?
No.
See you.
Is the dress blue or black? I saw somebody mentioning it, but I had no idea what the context was.
From what I can tell, now consider I've been out of the country for the last 4 days, and so that makes you even more out of touch than me. Yeah. Apparently, if you haven't seen this.
All I know about the award shows was Patricia Arquette screaming about the gender wage gap, and then I started going off on that again.
I think that's the most relevant thing that came out of that.
Yeah.
But this actually has nothing to do with the award show. I'm just sort of talking as pop culture-y.
Yeah.
But I can't see anything but gold and white in this dress, and I don't know what people are saying otherwise. I almost feel like they're just trolling on the internet. But we were talking about the difference between cats and dogs.
Yeah.
And you were suggesting.
Yeah, so you were saying that the cat was like the man's pet because he like didn't have to take care of it. And I'm like, well, first of all, that sounds like you're painting men as irresponsible, which I don't think is like the hardly an accurate thing, that you could just be like, yeah, just go ahead, leave your cat with a bowl of food, and then he can pee all over the house, and you don't have to worry about him, whereas the dog, you got to take care of him. But the dog is man's best friend for a reason, right? I mean, the dog defends. The dog knows who you are. The dog knows that you're the boss, right? The cat is like, the cat is your pet. The cat is your pet like the cat is your wife. The cat is like sitting around the house like, feed me, give me stuff, pet me, take care of me,
I'm
right?
not sure that's what wives do. Hopefully they're not. But that was the point, really, that John made here, is he said that dogs actually earn their keep. And I think that this is true for some dogs, but not most dogs. Most dogs are really sort of irrelevant in our lives other than being a pet. They're not herding sheep. If they are guarding, like, for instance, I told you about my mom's Schnauzer, Sugar Butt.
Sugar Butt doesn't sound like much of a guard dog.
She is an incredible guard dog. Guard dogs don't have the, I suppose she's a watchdog. I suppose the distinction, right? So she's an incredible watchdog. But the problem is she'd watch everything. A car drives by on the street. She's barking.
Right.
A leaf falls from a tree. She's barking.
All right, now you're not a watchdog. You're a pain in the neck.
Right. So, I mean, like, she's attempting to watch, but, she spends an inordinate amount of time barking.
Yeah, I mean, I had a dog that used to bark all the time, and his name was Spike, and he was a tremendous pain in the neck, and then my neighbor shot him, and that was really traumatic.
What?
Yeah, my neighbor shot my dog to death.
No,
and,
tell me about this.
My dog used to bark all the time, and then, well, actually, no, that wasn't Spike, that was Charlie. So it was when I was very young, and it was my father's dog, and like he was not very well behaved, and Dad would just be like, "Shut up, Charlie, go in the backyard." The dog would just howl and bark in the backyard. My neighbor finally got sick of it and pumped him full of pellets. And the dog bled to death in my backyard, and it was traumatic. I watched my dog bleed to death when I was a very young child.
What happened to the neighbor? What happened between your father?
Absolutely nothing, because there was no evidence. Like, we just had a dead dog. A dog got shot up, but the neighbor used to threaten the dog. Shut that dog up, or I'll shut him up for you, right? But nobody saw him shoot it, and it's not like the police went and pulled the pellets out and did a ballistic analysis on the pellets that killed my dog in the in the late 80s. I mean, they were just like, "Yeah, your dog's dead. Sucks for you, pal. Go get another one." So that's what happened with that. And then we did have another dog named Spike.
Having lived next door to a dog that just would not shut up, that constantly made noise all the time.
Right.
I have some sympathy.
Don't get me wrong, I get it. If I had a neighbor and his dog was just screaming all of the time, then yeah, I would probably get really upset. Were you from
the bad section of Long Island or something?
It was no, but look, I sort of grew up in poverty in the shadow of great wealth, if you will, right?
Okay.
So my family moved to this area. It was a very well-to-do area, but then my father almost immediately thereafter lost his job. So he had we were not the wealthiest family in the neighborhood, and I ran around with a pretty rough crowd, and it was a pretty big mess, But we were in a pretty good area, but but they didn't like us very much, put it that way.
You were the riffraff.
Yeah, we were the riffraff, if you will.
Those folks in the neighborhood.
My folks bought this house in Stony Brook when my father was working for the federal government. He was an air traffic controller. His union went on strike.
Ah, yes. So he got fired by Reagan.
He got fired by Reagan, exactly. And then he was basically SOL and started mowing people's lawns for money while he's living in this, really uppity neighborhood. Made for some awkward relationships.
Nothing wrong with that stuff. I mean, there's no, in my opinion, there's no such thing as honorable work.
You said there's no such thing as honorable work. I know what you meant to say, but the words came out of your mouth completely wrong.
Yes. All work is honorable.
Yeah.
But what I was doing is I was thinking at the same time is I'm not prepared to make this statement because those that work for the state, I really can't call that honorable work.
Right, but I mean, he was, look, the guy had work ethic, right? I mean, misled as he might have been, the guy ended up going and working for the IRS later on, too, which was a whole nother disaster story. Right. Probably explains a lot of my libertarianism, but
I do think that one can work for the state honorably, but I wouldn't call working for the state honorable work. Does that make sense?
I can see the little very thin line that you're attempting to draw there.
I was, for instance, when I was coming back from Mexico, when I was in Mexico City, there was a guy who was working in this, the restroom at the airport. Not exactly the nicest place. And he was keeping that thing as spick and span as he possibly could. Anybody who came out of there, he made sure they had a paper towel in their hand, that kind of thing. I threw him a few bucks because I thought that he's doing such a wonderful job. I'd call that honorable work.
All right.
Working for the government, I don't feel like you're earning the money in the same way.
All right. No doubt.
Thanks for listening. It's Free Talk Live. You can check out more at freetalklive.com or our Facebook page at facebook.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Rebel Love Show is next, live after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2015. Silver is trading at $16.56 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,210 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $269. Antiwar.com reports with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowing to do anything to prevent a U.S.-Iran nuclear deal. State Department spokeswoman Marie Harf yesterday warned him against leaking the details of any classified briefing. We've continuously provided detailed classified briefings to the Israeli officials to keep them updated, Harf said, adding that any release by Netanyahu would of course betray that trust. Secretary of State John Kerry also chimed in, warning Israel against doing anything to undercut the Iran negotiations, which just resumed on Monday in Switzerland. Netanyahu has insisted he has a moral obligation to warn Congress about the deal, saying it threatens Israel's survival. The White House has insisted that Netanyahu has refused to offer an alternative to negotiations. In Survivor Max by Davi Barker, 11-year-old Max must survive the zombie apocalypse alone in New Hampshire. Slow-moving and non-thinking, the lame brains swarm his home searching for living flesh. Max must apply his Porcupine Freedom Scouts training to plan his escape, but first he must prove that he's too smart to die. Look for Survivor Max on Facebook and Amazon, or read Chapter 1 free at survivormax.com. UPI reports a new study by researchers at the University of North Carolina has revealed just how